Romantic tales. When I got back to the hotel, I was so focused on doing it with you that I forgot to ask. Who asked you to have a mind full of dirty thoughts? You're a little horny woman. Yang Ming patted Lan Ling's butt and said. I'm just thinking about it. If you don't want to, I can't do anything about it. If you don't get hard, I can't do anything to you even if I die of exhaustion. Lan Ling whispered in Yang Ming's ear. Damn. Isn't this seduction? Lan Ling found out Yang Ming's inappropriateness easily. She said, Look, I don't know who's the one with a mind full of dirty thoughts. They were thinking about it on the street. See how I'm going to punish you tonight. Yang Ming glared at Lan Ling. Welcome. Lan Ling jumped up and down like a child. She had a happy expression. Yang Ming was helpless. He had to change the topic. What happened this morning? When you were gambling in the morning, how did you know the quality of the jade inside the stone? This should be the first time you encountered it, right? Lan Ling asked curiously. Do you have the same intuition as me? No, I'm a lucky person. Yang Ming hadn't decided whether to tell Lan Ling about his ability. After all, this wasn't a small matter. Forget it if you don't want to tell me. Lan Ling pouted. She didn't look happy. It's not that I don't want to tell you, but my situation is special. It's not easy to describe. Yang Ming found an excuse for himself. What happened to Yang Ming was weird, but it wasn't indescribable. It was just more troublesome to explain. Alright. Lan Ling let go of Yang Ming. However, she didn't take it to heart. After a while she forgot about it. Because of Tingchong's geographical location and trade, Xinhua bookstore had a lot of books about jade. Here jade was like a culture. As a citizen of Tingchong, if he didn't know anything about jade, he would be ashamed. According to the sign at the door, Yang Ming and Lan Ling easily found the counter for jade books. There were a few readers standing here. One of them looked like a scholar. He was about 50 years old. Looking at the dazzling array of books, Yang Ming had a headache. He had this feeling when he bought the lip-reading materials. Now that the living standards of the people were high and the spiritual culture was rich. But correspondingly, there were more cultural products to make up the numbers. If it was a prose, novel, comic, or children's book, it wouldn't matter if you bragged a little. But if it was an academic book, it would be wrong to make up nonsense. Now there were a lot of professional books. If it was a book that was pieced together, it wouldn't matter. You couldn't learn anything after reading it, but you couldn't learn anything bad. He was afraid that those who pretended to know nonsense would write books full of fallacies. Wouldn't that lead people astray? Yang Ming was confused after flipping through a few books. Every person had a different point of view. Every author had a different understanding of jade. It could be said that they were poles apart. How could they read this book? Lan Ling's ability to recognize jade was based on her feelings. She didn't know anything about jade. What's wrong, young man? Why are you frowning? The old man who stood beside Yang Ming suddenly asked. Old man, I want to study jade, but I don't know what kind of books to read. Yang Ming saw that he had been looking for books for a long time. He wanted to give it a try. But I realized that many books have different points of view. I don't know what to do. Hehe. So it's because of this. The old man laughed. What's there to worry about? What you're talking about are mostly appreciation books. Many of these books are written by collectors. Everyone has different interests, hobbies, and tastes. Naturally, the views written by them will be different. But the value of jade, isn't it up to the collectors to decide? Yang Ming was confused. Not entirely. To a certain extent, their words can be used as a reference to evaluate the value of a piece of jade. But it's not entirely the case. As he spoke, the old man took out a book titled Hetian Jade Appreciation from the bookshelf. He flipped to a page and pointed at the picture. Take these two jade bracelets for example. Look carefully. The materials used for these two bracelets are almost the same. Look here, there is a quality evaluation report. Yang Ming took a look. Sure enough, the quality of the two bracelets was almost the same. But the evaluation price differed by more than 2 million. Do you see? Do you want to know why this connoisseur praised one bracelet but didn't mention the other? The old man asked. Yang Ming shook his head. How would he know? If he knew, he wouldn't be troubled. Young man, the quality of the jade is important, but the person who carved it is also important. These two jade bracelets have different carving techniques. Look carefully. The one that is highly evaluated is very delicate, but the other is very rough. The old man explained. So that's why. Yang Ming was enlightened. Just now he only paid attention to the difference in the quality of the jade. He didn't pay attention to the carving technique. I was wondering why the price difference between the same quality of jade was so big. Yes, the carver of this bracelet might be a novice. To put it bluntly, this piece of jade was blinded by him. The old man shook his head regretfully. I understand now. Yang Ming nodded. Then old man, what book do you think a novice like me should read? If you are interested in jade, you can start learning from the quality of the jade. For example, this book is more suitable for you. The old man took out a book with an ugly cover from the corner of the bookshelf and passed it to Yang Ming. Chapter 114. Yang Ming quickly took it. Analysis of Jade Knowledge. He looked at the publication date. The first edition in 1988, the second edition in 1997, and the 36th printing in 2007. This book was even older than his own age. Yang Ming was born in the 90s. This book is older than Yang Ming by 2 years. Hee, are you surprised that this book is a bit old? The old man looked at Yang Ming and laughed. And yes, this book is older than me by 2 years. Is it outdated? Yang Ming expressed his doubts. Outdated? How can knowledge be outdated? The old man shook his head and said, when you young people buy books, you always like to buy the latest ones. Yes, it's right for you to buy new fashion books, but it's not necessarily the same for knowledge books. For example, the most commonly used arithmetic of addition and subtraction in our life. This is knowledge invented by our ancestors thousands of years ago. Can you say that it's outdated? Another example is the Tang and Song poems that we read. Are these outdated? Knowledge isn't outdated. Take this book for example. You see, it's already the 36th printing. This proves its value. Yang Ming nodded. Yes, he did benefit a lot. Not only did he learn a lot about the value of jade from the old man, but he also found a suitable teaching material for himself. Yang Ming was very happy. Old man, thank you. I understand. I will work hard to learn the knowledge in this book. And I wanted to tell you more, but I still have something to do today. I have to go first. This is my business card. If you don't understand anything, just call me. It's rare that there are young people who like to learn so much. The old man took out a business card from his pocket and handed it to Yang Ming. Yang Ming was a bit embarrassed by the old man's words. I don't like to learn. I want to learn to earn money. But he still respectfully took the business card from the old man with both hands. The business card was very simple. There was only a name and a phone number. There was no job title. It was obvious that this was a personal business card. The people who gave out such business cards to others were generally the leading figures of certain industries. They no longer cared about fame and fortune. Lu Weishan. Yang Ming had never heard of this name. But he reckoned that this old Mr. Lu must be an expert in the jade industry. After bidding farewell to Lu Weishan, Yang Ming and Lan Ling walked around the bookstore for a while. Yang Ming casually browsed through books about qigong and special abilities. The content was very superficial. There was nothing related to X-ray vision. Lan Ling's sixth sense was mentioned in many books, but the explanation was very vague. Aristotle, an ancient Greek scientist and philosopher, believed long ago that people have 5 senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. However, in life, many people believed in the existence of intuition or sixth sense, especially women. Does the sixth sense even exist? Scientists haven't been able to give us a definite answer yet. Damn, what kind of explanation is this? Yang Ming was a little depressed after seeing this. He put the book back. It seemed that these things were better understood by looking for a specialized website. The books in the bookstore weren't very professional. Lan Ling. Yang Ming turned around and found that Lan Ling was gone. This little girl, where did she go? It was very difficult to find someone in the bookstore because the bookshelves blocked people's sight. It was impossible to see the person behind the bookshelf. Of course, this was only for ordinary people. This kind of blocking was useless for Yang Ming. Yang Ming's eyes were like a telescope. Who could compare to this? Yang Ming directly used his special ability and immediately found Lan Ling, who was standing behind a bookshelf not far away. He was reading a book with full concentration. Yang Ming immediately walked over. It seemed that Lan Ling was very engrossed in reading. She didn't even notice that Yang Ming appeared behind her. Lan Ling, what are you reading? You are so engrossed. Yang Ming patted her little butt. Ah. Lan Ling was shocked. She realized that it was Yang Ming and then she was relieved. You scared me. Yang Ming saw the book in Lan Ling's hand and couldn't help but be stunned. Life knowledge for newlyweds. Damn, this little girl is really shameless. Yang Ming, look at the few positions and postures in this book. We haven't tested them yet. How about we try it tonight? Lan Ling pointed at the hand-drawn illustrations in the book. Yang Ming listened and quickly looked around. Fortunately, there was no one. Lan Ling, can't you be quieter? It's not good if other people hear it. Yang Ming reminded her. What's wrong with this? Don't they do this at home? Besides, isn't this book for people to read? Lan Ling asked curiously. Yang Ming was speechless. This little girl really doesn't understand, or is she doing it on purpose? She's too innocent. These are the privacy between two people. It's not good to let others know. Yang Ming explained. Oh, then I won't say it. Lan Ling nodded. How about we buy this book back? Buy? Yang Ming didn't want to see the weird look from the cashier. He shook his head and said, forget it. It's just theoretical knowledge. There's nothing for reference. Why don't we go back and watch a live-action movie? Live-action movie? Hey, are we going to watch it tonight? Lan Ling asked. And let's talk about it when we go back. Yang Ming thought, is there a place to download it? Out of the bookstore, Yang Ming and Lan Ling found a snack bar. Before they left, the two of them were busy in the hotel. They digested the lunch they had. In addition to that, they were already hungry after spending half a day in the bookstore. Crossing the Bridge rice noodles was one of the most famous snacks in Yunnan. If they didn't taste the Crossing the Bridge rice noodles when they arrived in Yunnan, it would be a wasted trip. Yang Ming hadn't eaten the rice noodles before, so naturally he wanted to try it. Lan Ling didn't care. She was a typical local. She ate it often, but she loved it. The two of them ordered a large portion. This was the benefit of having a meal together as a couple. A large portion was cheaper than two small portions. Plus, there was one more meat and two more vegetables. The small portion only had 1 meat and 3 vegetables, while the large portion had 3 meat and 5 vegetables. If Yang Ming and Zhang Bin were to eat together, they wouldn't eat a pot of rice noodles. But it was different with Lan Ling. They had kissed and made love. Yang Ming didn't even dislike Lan Ling's urine, let alone her saliva. It was delicious when the two of them fought to eat. Lan Ling had big eyes and a small stomach. Before she ate, she said that she could eat half of it. But after a few bites, she was full. Yang Ming was responsible for the rest. The rice noodles were authentic. The chili was delicious, so Yang Ming didn't force himself to eat. Eat slowly. Lan Ling smiled and handed a napkin to Yang Ming. Wipe your sweat. Yang Ming took the napkin. He looked up and saw Lan Ling's eyes that were full of tenderness and love. He was very happy. Turned out that this was the feeling of two people being together. Although Yang Ming and Qin Mengyan were often together before, there was still a layer of window paper between the two of them. Therefore both of them were a little secretive and reserved. That was another kind of feeling. Thinking about Qin Mengyan, Yang Ming began to feel sad again. Lan Ling, I can't abandon her no matter what. This fairy-like girl, Yang Ming couldn't wait to love her. How could he not want her? But the key question was what to do with Qin Mengyan? Not to mention whether she could accept Lan Ling. This voodoo problem was troublesome enough. Yang Ming shook his head and tried not to think about these unpleasant things. He always believed that there would be a way when the car reaches the mountain, and he would take one step at a time. But how to say it, maybe the god of luck was on his side. Yang Ming's luck was extraordinarily good. Murloc said, it's natural for the protagonist to have good luck. If the supporting character has good luck, wouldn't that be usurping the throne? Lan Ling, why do you think this bridge crossing rice noodles is called bridge crossing rice noodles? Yang Ming put the remaining half of the meat sauce into the rice noodles pot and prepared to clean up together. I asked my grandmother this question when I was young. She told me this. Legend has it that there was a scholar who studied hard in a small house by the lake in order to obtain scholarly honors in the imperial examinations. His wife delivered food to the scholar every day, but every time the food reached the scholar's hands, it would be cold. Then the clever wife thought of a way. Every day she cooked chicken soup rice noodles and delivered them to the scholar. Because the thick chicken oil had the effect of keeping the food warm, the scholar could eat hot food. After that, it gradually spread. Because the wife had to cross the bridge to deliver food every day, it was called bridge crossing rice noodles. Lan Ling finished speaking and looked at the rice noodles in front of her. Her eyes seemed to be blurred. Chapter 115. Yang Ming wanted to show off, so he said, first is the color. The color is the color. Green jade is the best. Red and purple jade is only 1/5 of the value of green jade. If the jade contains red, purple, green and white, it is called Fu Lu Shou Shi. If it only contains red, green and white, it is called Fu Lu Shou. Dark and slightly yellow jade is the lower grade. If it is a single color jade, it is better to have a uniform color. As for your jade, I am not belittling it, but look at its black color and slightly yellow color. It is definitely the lower grade. The so-called transparent jade means that the jade must be transparent like glass without any stains, chafing or astringent. Translucent and opaque jade are called middle grade jade and normal jade. In the Qing dynasty and before the Qing dynasty, jade with 3 colors of red, green and white was called jadeite. In modern times, jade generally refers to transparent jade. Currently, jade is mostly transparent and green. Your jade is not only not green but it is also not transparent. This is the second point. The third point is uniform, which means that the color of the jade is uniform. Although it contains white and green, but the color is not uniform, the value is very low. You are not related to this. Your yellow jade is okay. As for shape, it means that the shape of the jade can be processed into different styles according to different aesthetic requirements. There is no special standard. Generally speaking, the bigger the jade, the better. Yours is quite big. Can't you say that I am reborn? Yang Ming was very unhappy with Zhang Bin's contempt. What's wrong? Yang Ming saw that Lan Ling's expression was a bit strange, so he quickly asked. Yours? Yang Ming took a look. When he was in the taxi, he briefly flipped through the book that he just bought. He had a general understanding of jade. So he applied what he learned. There are 6 standards to appraise the quality of jade. They are color, transparency, uniformity, shape, brightness. Where is your grandmother? Yang Ming knew that Lan Ling's mother was dead, but her grandmother should still be alive. When he returned to the hotel, he was surprised to find that Zhang Bin hadn't slept yet. He was still fiddling with the 2 pieces of jade. It seemed that Zhang Jiefeng was going to be so happy that he couldn't close his mouth. It was natural for the son to inherit his father's business, but he was afraid that the son would not do his job properly. Yang Ming also vaguely guessed Zhang Bin's intention, but he didn't say it out loud. Perhaps only Zhang Bin was confused. You're really something. You even bought a book. Why? Are you interested in this line of work? Zhang Bin took the book and flipped through it. Lan Ling shook her head. I miss Grandma and Mom. Of course it's referring to the jade in Zhang Bin's hand that's pretty big. Lan Ling blinked her big innocent eyes and said innocently, could it be that it's referring to something else? Why didn't I know about it? It's a bit of an interest. Yang Ming smiled. I'm also preparing to gamble some jade to earn some money. And that's true. But if my dad knew that you like this line of work, he would definitely be happy. Zhang Bin smiled. If you were to do this in the future, my dad wouldn't be afraid that I wouldn't do it. Gambling jade was only one way to earn money. It wasn't the only way. Let's not talk about those that were far away. Let's talk about those that were near. If you could gamble jade, you could gamble diamonds. Even like what Zhang Jiefeng said, you could go treasure hunting. Yang Ming passed 2 pieces to Zhang Bin. This guy threw the piece of jade that Yang Ming criticized to be worthless to the side and started to polish another piece of jade. I don't know where she went. Lan Ling was absent-minded. She was poisoned by her enemy. It was a very powerful poison. Then she disappeared. I miss her a lot. When I was young, my grandmother always made rice noodles for me and told me good stories. There are plenty on the table. Take whatever you want. Zhang Bin pointed at the desk beside the TV and said, give me 2 more pieces. Yang Ming took a look. Zhang Bin's second piece of jade was of good quality. It was much better than the first piece. So he encouraged, this piece looks good. I hope it's a good piece of jade. How much money can you earn? Why don't I talk to my dad and ask him to guide you? Zhang Bin felt that if his good buddy was also in this line of work, then he would have someone to take care of him when he took over the job. Are you still listening? If I say that you have a problem in your thinking, then there is a problem. Why don't other people think in that direction? After Yang Ming finished speaking, he asked Lan Ling, little Lan Ling, what do you think I meant when I said pretty big? What do you mean? Zhang Bin was confused. Seduction? Blackmail? What do you think of my jade? Zhang Bin took a piece of jade that was basically polished and asked. Didn't I mishear? Zhang Bin said embarrassedly, You came up with so many technical terms. How can I understand? Can't you at least be more specific? Besides, Yang Ming's intuition told him that after the glasses merged with him, there would be more special abilities. Telescopic vision and X-ray vision were easier to develop. Could be said that they were easy to operate. But for example, the ability to see other people's thoughts, Yang Ming didn't know how to use it. So, it could be said that there was still a part of his special ability that hadn't been explored yet. Look at it yourself. Yang Ming took out the book Analysis of Jade Knowledge from behind and handed it to Zhang Bin. Damn you two adulterers. You two are singing the same tune. I'm defeated by you. Zhang Bin sweated. Okay, I'll take it that my thinking isn't good enough. You continue to talk about blackmail. What is it? Hehe, give me a few pieces of sandpaper. I'll go back and see how my jade is. Yang Ming laughed. Once my channels are stable or my social connections are established, I can set up my own company. Of course, this is just a preliminary idea. If my special ability is only used to gamble on jade, wouldn't it be a waste? Yang Ming sighed. In that case, Lan Ling is really too pitiful. Before Yang Ming finished speaking, he was interrupted by Zhang Bin. What do you mean by pretty big? Your words are ambiguous. Sister-in-law is still here. Can't you be more civilized? After hurriedly finishing the rice noodles, Yang Ming and Lan Ling paid the bill. When they were about to leave, the shop owner suddenly shouted, "Wait a minute, the money is wrong." I was just about to ask. Zhang Bin said without giving face. There are so many theories. Yang Ming, who did you hear this from? After Zhang Bin listened to Yang Ming's theory, he was surprised. You were still a novice in the morning. How did you become an expert in the afternoon? Don't tell me you met with a miracle. For example, you were possessed by the spirit of a jade expert? Damn. Yang Ming said with disdain, it doesn't matter if your brain is empty. Just don't get it in the water. Seduction and blackmail. I don't know how you association. It's seduction and blackmail. Sure, but I'm just fooling around. After all, this is just a side job. We should focus on the university. Yang Ming nodded. This matter couldn't be hidden from Zhang Jiefeng. Otherwise, as a newcomer, even if he got a priceless jade, he wouldn't have a sales channel. But Zhang Jiefeng was different. Not only did he have his own processing plant, but he also had his own sales channel. It's 25 yuan, but you gave me 35 yuan. Here are 2 10 yuan notes. The shop owner returned 10 yuan to Yang Ming. Yang Ming didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It seemed that he was too cautious. He was fooled by the news of tourists being cheated. He thought that he had to be careful when he was outside. Looking at this small restaurant that was as busy as a marketplace, how could it be a shady restaurant? There were so many locals eating here. If it was a black shop, who would come here? Therefore, if he wanted to earn money through jade gambling, the only way was to let Zhang Jiefeng help him. Otherwise, even if he had a priceless jade, he wouldn't be able to sell it for a good price. It's blackmail. I realized that you have the potential to be a hooligan. Yang Ming continued to explain, blackmail means that there are often cracks and lines in the jade. It's not easy to notice. If you use a metal rod to knock or throw the jade on the table, you can distinguish the existence of cracks from the sound. The clearer the sound, the better. As for your piece, you don't need to knock. It's obvious that there is a horizontal line. As for blackmail, it means that there are black spots and flaws in the jade that aren't easy to notice with the naked eye. As long as you use a magnifying glass to look at it, you can see it clearly. The quality of jade can be divided into 10 grades. Each grade can be further divided into 3 grades: upper, middle, and lower. Among them, white jade, no matter how good or bad its color or transparency, its value is the lowest. Your piece of jade has a lot of black spots and flaws. This step is omitted. Chapter 116. Zhang Bin's products must be the best. Zhang Bin's current appearance was really like gambling on jade. Yang Ming didn't bother with him and returned to the room with Lan Ling. After the two of them put the do not disturb on the door, they lay on the bed. Yang Ming and Lan Ling were both tired. Lan Ling wanted to do something that she loved, but she didn't have the energy. So the two of them fell asleep while hugging each other. In a daze, Yang Ming suddenly heard a strange sound. This sound was very familiar to Yang Ming. Lan Ling would make this sound many times every day. Yang Ming opened his eyes and looked up. He found out that the TV was playing a super adult movie. Lan Ling had already woken up. She was sitting in front of the TV and watching it attentively. Sometimes she would nod her head with a thoughtful look. Lan Ling, how did you tune it out? Yang Ming asked curiously. Yang Ming, is this the live-action movie you were talking about? The demonstration is much better than the book. Lan Ling said, do you want to watch it together? I'm not watching it. I'm already past the age of watching it. Yang Ming sighed. Unknowingly he had matured. He still remembered the days when Xia had just left. Yang Ming, Su Peng and Li Dagong spent every day in the internet cafe video hall and billiard room. Watching movies was a common occurrence. Now those days seemed to be very far away. Yang Ming's memory was blurred. Now Yang Ming had a new life, a new path, and Lan Ling, Qin Mengyan waited at home for a few days, but Yang Ming didn't call her. Qin Mengyan was really angry. This Yang Ming, he kept saying that he liked her and wanted her to be his girlfriend. Why was there no news from him now? Previously, when she was busy with her studies, this guy kept asking her out. Now that the college entrance examination was over and everyone was free, why didn't this guy ask her out anymore? Qin Mengyan felt very wronged. Wasn't it just because she gave him a hard time that day? But what's wrong with a girl throwing a tantrum? Qin Mengyan felt that she was a girl. If he couldn't tolerate her, how could they get along in the future? But after a while, Qin Mengyan felt that she was also wrong. She actually believed Wang Jitao's words. Yes, she believed Wang Jitao but suspected Yang Ming instead. If it were her, she would also be angry. With the courage to make the first call, Qin Mengyan called Yang Ming again. This time he chose to do it at night so Yang Ming should be at home. Sure enough, the phone rang twice before someone picked it up. Hello. Listening to the voice, it should be Yang Ming's mother. Hello auntie, I want to look for Yang Ming. Qin Mengyan said nervously. When Yang Ming was sick, Qin Mengyan also called him once. It was also Yang Ming's mother who picked it up. But that time, Qin Mengyan and Yang Ming were just good friends, so she didn't feel anything. But this time was different. Now the relationship between Qin Mengyan and Yang Ming was very subtle. Qin Mengyan felt like an ugly daughter-in-law meeting her in-laws. Oh, you are? Mother Yang asked. I am Yang Ming's classmate. My name is Qin Mengyan. Qin Mengyan said. Oh, it's you. Yang Ming often talks about you. He said that his grades have improved because of you. When Mother Yang heard that the girl was Qin Mengyan, she immediately became enthusiastic. Auntie, you are overpraising. Yang Ming himself is also very smart. He often tests in front of me. Qin Mengyan said quickly. He come to my house to play when you are free. Auntie will treat you well. Mother Yang laughed. And okay auntie, that Yang Ming. Qin Mengyan saw that Mother Yang didn't mention anything about helping her call Yang Ming, so she reminded her. Oh, you're looking for Yang Ming. Yang Ming went out. Mother Yang said, he went out. Went out. When did he go? Where did he go? Qin Mengyan was a bit puzzled. He went to Yunnan with his classmate. He left the day before yesterday. Mother Yang said. With his classmate? Who did he go with? Qin Mengyan asked subconsciously. Don't worry. He is a male classmate. His name is Zhang Bin. Mother Yang smiled ambiguously. It could be heard that this girl was very concerned about Yang Ming. Auntie, I didn't mean that. Qin Mengyan was embarrassed. In fact, she really did mean that for a moment. I just said it casually. Don't take it to heart. Mother Yang smiled. What's the matter? I will tell him when he comes back. I don't have anything. Just tell him that I called him. Some things couldn't be passed on, so Qin Mengyan couldn't say it. I will tell him. Mother Yang said. Auntie, I am fine. I will hang up first. Qin Mengyan said carefully. Well, come and play when you are free. Mother Yang didn't forget to say. I will. After hanging up the phone, Qin Mengyan breathed a sigh of relief. However, she was a bit annoyed. This Yang Ming didn't tell her that he was going out to play. He made her worry for so many days. After Qin Mengyan learned that Yang Ming wasn't in the local area, she was relieved. She felt that Yang Ming would contact her when he came back, so she began to do what she needed to do. Yang Ming looked at the channel that Lan Ling was changing. It turned out to be a closed-circuit channel. When the association mentioned the nature of his room, Yang Ming was relieved. Many hotels would provide an adult channel in the couple's room. Because it was a private screening and this was the unspoken rule of many hotels, so generally if someone didn't report it, the management wouldn't specifically investigate this. Yang Ming, let's try it now. I have learned a few moves. Lan Ling said excitedly, okay. All right. Once again Yang Ming couldn't resist Lan Ling's temptation. What are you doing? Yang Ming saw Lan Ling's head moving towards his lower body and quickly asked. The woman in the TV did this. As Lan Ling said this, she used her mouth to hold little Yang Ming. This little vixen. Yang Ming even suspected that he would die from excessive ejaculation. At 6 o'clock in the evening, Zhang Jiefeng came back. He called Yang Ming to come out for dinner. Wu Futsai didn't have any plans for tonight. After all, he couldn't accompany a client every day. He still had other clients to accompany. When Yang Ming came to Zhang Bin's room, Zhang Bin was holding his polished stone and talking to Zhang Jiefeng excitedly. How to identify the quality of this jade? There are 6 criteria, which are color, transparency, uniformity, shape, striking, illumination. Zhang Bin repeated what Yang Ming told him in the afternoon to Zhang Jiefeng. Good job, son. Zhang Jiefeng listened with a face full of smiles. I didn't expect you to know so much. Although the 2 pieces of jade you bet on aren't good, Dad is still very happy. As long as you study our family business properly, don't talk about buying a car, we can even buy you a house near your school. I also learned it from Yang Ming in the afternoon. Zhang Bin was a little embarrassed. After all, he plagiarized. Zhang Jiefeng was surprised to see Yang Ming, who just entered the room. Yang Ming, you seem to be very interested in jade? Yes, Uncle Zhang. I also want to gamble a few pieces of jade to earn some tuition fees. Yang Ming nodded with a smile. Gambling on jade isn't a problem, but you might not be able to earn enough tuition fees. This is completely dependent on luck. Just like the businessman we saw today, he suddenly opened a piece of jade, but the probability is very small. Zhang Jiefeng said, if you like it, you can play, but if you want to earn tuition fees, it's a bit difficult. I know, so I don't plan to do too much. I'm prepared to gamble a few thousand pieces of jade. Yang Ming said. It wasn't that Yang Ming didn't have enough money. The key was that Wu Futsai's batch of jade was limited. Spending more money was the same thing. Okay, if you have anything you don't understand, just ask me directly. Zhang Jiefeng didn't mind, but he was curious how Yang Ming suddenly knew so much about jade. Where did you learn all this from? Hi. I just bought a book and read it blindly. Zhang Bin, where's the book? Yang Ming asked. Zhang Bin quickly took the booked analysis of jade knowledge from the bed and passed it to his father. Zhang Jiefeng flipped a few pages with interest and said, not bad, it's very basic. You are quite good at choosing books. This book is most suitable for beginners like you. Uncle Zhang, you must be joking. How would I know? Luckily, I met an old gentleman in the bookstore who was quite knowledgeable in this field. He recommended it to me. Yang Ming smiled. So that's the case. Seems like that person is also an expert. Zhang Jiefeng nodded. Yang Ming suddenly remembered that Zhang Jiefeng was in this business. He might have heard of old Mr. Lu's name, so he tried to ask, Uncle Zhang, have you heard of Lu Weishan? Chapter 117. Yeah, there are a lot of customers here, but there aren't many people from the northeast. Most of the people who come to Tingcheng are from the south. The restaurant owner said, are you guys in the jade business? Did you lose confidence in your 2 pieces of junk after seeing how awesome my stones were? Zhang Bin boasted. Zhang Jiefeng nodded after listening. He was probably invited by Wu Futsai like that. Actually, it was understandable. He didn't come here often to gamble. When the goods arrived, they would definitely give it to the regular customers first. Zhang Jiefeng ordered a few Northeast special smoked sauces. The few of them started to eat heartily. As for Lan Ling, she couldn't eat much. She ate a few mouthfuls of each dish and was full. Lu Weishan? The old man you were talking about is Lu Weishan? Zhang Jiefeng was surprised after listening. Who knows, we might even get a piece of jade. Yang Ming smiled and said ambiguously, oh yeah, Yang Ming, how are your 2 stones? Don't tell me you are too embarrassed to take them out because you threw out a piece of junk? Zhang Bin suddenly remembered the agreement between the 2 of them. Are the few of you from the northeast? The restaurant owner had nothing to do, so he sat at a table and started a conversation with Yang Ming. In other words, if we gamble on stones, we might be able to get a piece of jade. Zhang Bin was surprised. Of course. I'm a pure northeast man. My wife is a chef, so she's also from the northeast. Her skills are definitely authentic. The restaurant owner boasted. Who did you get the goods from? The restaurant owner asked. It's Liang Jinda. Because his 2 front teeth are gold. Everyone calls him Liang Jinya. The restaurant owner smiled. If you want it, you have to hurry up. Don't spread this around. The first few days when the goods arrive, there will be a lot of people watching. Only after the last few days when the goods are almost done, the owner of the goods will announce that he is looking for buyers. Don't underestimate the initiation. As the saying goes, the master leads the way, but the cultivation depends on the person. In other words, the first step was the most important step. As long as one was able to enter the door, they would be able to improve themselves in the future. Zhang Bin, it's easy to confuse the concepts of jadeite and jade. In fact, jadeite is indeed jade, but on the other hand, jade isn't necessarily jadeite. Zhang Jiefeng listened to his son and explained, jade is the collective name of natural jadeite. There were many types of natural jades, and they had different shapes and sizes depending on their chemical composition, density, hardness, and refractive index. Therefore, natural jade was divided into jadeite and nephrite. Jadeite was jade and it was produced in Myanmar. Because of its unique composition and excellent quality, jadeite became the king of jades and was deeply loved by people. Nephrite was a natural jade that was harder than jadeite. At present, the natural jade produced in our country is basically nephrite. The most representative jade is the Hutian jade produced in Xinjiang, which is one of the best jades in China. Of course, Lu Weishan is a master in the jade stone carving world. He himself is also a titan in the jade stone appraisal world. He is an honorary consultant for many jewelry companies. Zhang Jiefeng said, my company has invited him a few times, but he didn't agree. As long as there is a jade that he appraises, the value will increase by a lot. Yeah, I didn't expect to be able to eat such authentic northeastern cuisine here. Zhang Jiefeng exclaimed. Shredded pork with garlic sauce, double fried pork, spicy tofu, fried potato and rice. This was the way of the Northeasterners. The Northeasterners weren't willing to eat noodles. Almost every meal was without rice. That's amazing. Yang Ming was very surprised. He didn't expect to meet such an expert today. Uncle Zhang, Elder Lu left me a name card so that I can ask him if I don't understand. Do you think I should give him a call? Then why are you still gambling here? Zhang Bin was a little confused. More or less. Wu Fatsai's batch of goods arrived last month and they were picked a few times. You guys are just here to pick up the leftovers. I heard from the customers that Liang Jinya from the goods yard will be getting a batch of good goods these few days. If you guys are interested, you can go and take a look. If you are early, you can pick the good stuff. The restaurant owner said. Gambling on jade is just a hobby. It's okay to play occasionally. It's just like buying lottery tickets. If you spend a few hundred yuan every month, it's okay. But if you want to buy a few hundred yuan, it's a little inappropriate. Zhang Jiefeng said, this time, the main reason for coming is to let you experience it and get in touch with it. But since Liang Jinya was here, Zhang Jiefeng still wanted to take a look. But he was just here to join in the fun. He wasn't an expert in this field. It wouldn't be useful even if he went early. But looking at the situation, Zhang Bin had unknowingly learned a lot about this field. Could be said that he was a beginner. Zhang Jiefeng was very happy. He felt that this trip wasn't in vain. Also, he was glad that he brought Yang Ming along. Because of Yang Ming's interest, Zhang Bin was interested. Zhang Bin didn't eat anything in the afternoon. He was already hungry, so he was very active. On the other hand, Yang Ming and Lan Ling weren't that hungry. In fact, Zhang Jiefeng had his own plans. If Yang Ming really had a relationship with Lu Weishan, it would be very beneficial for his jewelry company. But is this Lu Weishan very famous? Yang Ming wasn't in this industry, so naturally he hadn't heard of him. Then we are from the same hometown. We are from Songjiang City, the 3 northeastern provinces. That means that the 3 northeastern provinces are a family. Zhang Jiefeng was a businessman. His character was more forthright, so he could talk to anyone. I haven't polished it yet. Yang Ming was a little embarrassed. He was so focused on the couple's game with Lan Ling that he didn't even think about the stone. I got it. Yang Ming nodded. Yang Ming didn't have this intention to be Elder Lu's disciple. He couldn't rely on jade gambling for a living. Now it was just a way to make money. So it didn't matter if he knew how to carve. What was important was that he could pick out the good material from the rough stones. As for who would be the one to process it and how it would turn out, Yang Ming didn't want to be involved. Of course you have to call. Elder Lu rarely takes the initiative to give his contact number to others. Moreover, he doesn't like to be polite. If he asked you to call him, he would be willing. Otherwise, he wouldn't give you his business card. Zhang Jiefeng immediately said, Yang Ming, this is a good opportunity. If you can be Elder Lu's disciple, you will become a new figure in the jewelry industry. Yes, there are a lot of jewelry businessmen in Guangdong and Hong Kong who became rich overnight. They all relied on jade gambling to make a fortune. Zhang Jiefeng said, but in the first few years the probability of getting jade gambling was higher. At that time the stones were cheaper. It didn't cost much to buy a bunch of them. After that, the businessmen who resell the rough stones became smarter. The price increased a few times. If you buy a bunch of jade stones, even if you get jade, you won't earn much money. Liang Jinya? Zhang Jiefeng didn't come here often. Naturally, he didn't know the names of the other businessmen. Zhang Jiefeng saw that Yang Ming didn't seem to have this intention, so he couldn't force him. He only advised, you should think about it. This is a rare opportunity. A lot of people want to be his disciple, but they can't find the right way. If that was the case, the biggest problem would be the sales. What reason should I come up with to not make Zhang Jiefeng suspicious? Yang Ming couldn't help but frown. Maybe Elder Lu just thought of me as a young man who is eager to learn. Maybe he didn't have the intention to accept me as his disciple. Yang Ming smiled. If he didn't even know the right way, how could he talk about improvement? That's true. But if he took the initiative to ask, you should consider it. Zhang Jiefeng said, let's go. Let's go eat something. Jade? Oh yeah, what does jade mean? Isn't it also jade? Zhang Bin couldn't figure out the difference between the two. Wufatsai, what's wrong? Zhang Jiefeng smiled and said, you know about this too? I'm in the jewelry business. I'm also in the jade business. It's just a small business. I can't be compared to the big boss in the south. Zhang Jiefeng was telling the truth. His scale wasn't enough. But Yang Ming was different. After listening to the restaurant owner, Yang Ming's heart moved. He didn't want to let go of this opportunity to make money. Because of his current identity, he couldn't come to Yunnan often. So he might as well take this opportunity to make more. Chapter 118. When they returned to the hotel at night, under Zhang Bin's strong request, Yang Ming brought the 2 stones that he gambled during the day to Zhang Jiefeng's room. He wanted to let him appraise which one was more valuable. It's definitely mine. Zhang Bin pointed at his polished stone and said, mine is twice the size of yours. You can't say that. If it's a jade, a palm-sized piece would be worth millions. Zhang Jiefeng waved his hand. Which one is more valuable between a piece of gold and a piece of silver that's twice the size? That's the logic. How is it possible to get a jade? Zhang Bin was disdainful. Nothing is impossible. Luck is hard to predict. Zhang Jiefeng shook his head. Let's talk about me. Among the people who went to sea with me, I was the only one who made it big. The others are still working hard in small businesses. Zhang Bin didn't dare to say anything. He knew that his father was superstitious, so he said, yeah, my luck isn't good. Son, you don't need luck. You have an advantage over others. You have a good father. Even though I'm not a billionaire, my net worth is in the tens of millions. As long as you don't go bankrupt and manage your business well, you won't have to worry about anything for the rest of your life. I don't expect you to expand your business. You just need to protect your family business. Zhang Jiefeng said. Dad, you make it sound like I'm a rich second generation. Zhang Bin was embarrassed. If there is Yang Ming in the future, we can take care of each other. We will definitely make your family business great. And I was waiting for you to say that. Zhang Jiefeng laughed. What he said just now was so that Zhang Bin wouldn't feel burdened. But who didn't want their son to be successful? Yang Ming polished the broken jade a few times quietly to reveal the original color of the jade. Then he pretended to be disappointed and sighed. It's not even as good as your broken one. Zhang Jiefeng took a look and shook his head. This piece of jade can only be sold for 10 yuan at the artisan workshop. But it's okay. Isn't there another one? Maybe it is a piece of jade. Zhang Jiefeng comforted him. Thank you for your kind words, Uncle Zhang. Yang Ming smiled. He purposely brought up this topic. He wanted to shift the topic to luck. He didn't expect Zhang Jiefeng to bring it up first. It saved him the trouble of thinking and talking. Yes, luck was a wonderful thing. There were even scientists from many countries who started to study luck as a science. Although this sounded a bit ridiculous, you had to admit that luck really did exist in the unseen world. For example, when people buy lottery tickets, some people win the lottery time and time again, while others don't win even once. And the person who won the lottery didn't even know why they won the lottery. It was the same at the poker table. Often there would be a winner whose cards were especially smooth. Their luck was so good that there was nothing to say about it. These were all things that science could not explain. Therefore, Yang Ming wanted to start from this aspect and attribute his superpower to luck. This way no one could do anything to him. Yang Ming, how is it? You lost, right? I told you, how could you pick anything good out of that pile of junk? So many experts picked it. How could it be your turn? Zhang Bin said sarcastically. I despise you. Are you afraid that I would pick up a piece of jade and ruin your car? Yang Ming gave him a look of disdain. And, why is it so green? Yang Ming pretended to be confused. He pointed at the corner of the jade in his hand. Let me see. Zhang Jiefeng was stunned. He quickly took the jade in Yang Ming's hand. After looking at it, his face was full of excitement. Yang Ming, do you know that this is jade? You actually picked up a piece of jade. What? Jade? Yang Ming pretended to be surprised and stood up. Uncle Zhang, did you see wrongly? No, how could I see wrongly? Although your Uncle Zhang isn't an expert in this field, I am still an expert in this field. I can still distinguish between jade and jade. This is definitely a piece of jade without a doubt. Yang Ming, I really didn't expect your luck to be so good. Today the group of businessmen picked up a piece of jade. I thought it was very lucky. I didn't expect you to pick up a piece of jade just like that. Zhang Jiefeng took over the sandpaper in Yang Ming's hand and helped him to sand it. Dad, is this really jade? Zhang Bin also felt that it was unbelievable. Go away. Why would your dad lie to you? Zhang Jiefeng was a little unhappy. Let me tell you. This time Yang Ming won. Your car is ruined. Ah? No, Dad. Aren't you asking me to ride a roller coaster? It was still in the sky just now. In the blink of an eye, it fell down. Zhang Bin was a little depressed. But since you are interested in jade, I will reward you with a car. Zhang Jiefeng said leisurely, but Zhang Bin was sweating profusely. Dad, are you trying to scare me? Zhang Bin let out a sigh of relief. Yang Ming, this piece of jade isn't as good as the one from the group of businessmen today. It isn't as big as that one, but it is still considered a mid-grade jade. This stone can be sold for about 200,000 yuan. Zhang Jiefeng said, how do you want to deal with it? I don't really understand the market. Uncle Zhang, what do you think? Yang Ming thought for a while. He still had 20,000 yuan in his savings. This money was enough for gambling. It didn't matter if this piece of jade was sold or not. I don't really recommend you to sell it directly. Uncle Zhang is now advising you as your elder. Of course, I am a businessman. From a businessman's point of view, I am naturally willing to let you sell it to me. Zhang Jiefeng said, but Uncle Zhang can't do that. You are Zhang Bin's good friend. Even if I want to earn money, I can't earn it from you. What I mean is, you can give the jade to me. Then I will let the people in the factory process it into jewelry and sell it in the shop. Then it can be sold for about 800,000 yuan. Then it is all up to Uncle Zhang. You can just give me half of the money you earn. Yang Ming wasn't greedy for money. He still needed Zhang Jiefeng's channel in the future, so he couldn't be stingy. You are the younger generation. How can I, Zhang Jiefeng, take your money? Zhang Jiefeng laughed. If you really want to give it to me, you can follow the standard of other people. Give me a 10% commission fee. But when you process it, don't you need a commission fee? Yang Ming felt that Zhang Jiefeng wasn't a person who only cared about profits. So he didn't worry about giving the jade to him. Besides, this jadeite was nothing to Yang Ming. As long as Yang Ming wanted, he could find a lot of jadeite from thousands of stones. That's just a small amount of money. It's only a few hundred yuan. Zhang Jiefeng waved his hand. Normally, only people who didn't have a channel would sell their jade. If not, who would be so stupid? They wouldn't earn money. Then I will have to trouble Uncle Zhang. Yang Ming thanked him. Zhang Jiefeng already knew about Yang Ming's family background from Zhang Bin. He knew that his parents were workers, so he wanted to use this opportunity to help Yang Ming. If not, he wouldn't be working for nothing. But since Yang Ming was willing to pay the commission fee, it didn't matter. Zhang Jiefeng also considered Yang Ming's luck to be able to obtain a piece of jadeite. Even if he was an expert for decades, he couldn't guarantee that one of the two stones he took out would be a piece of jadeite. If Zhang Jiefeng knew that Yang Ming had such a magical ability, he would hesitate. Even if his son was Yang Ming's good friend, he couldn't always help him with this kind of work. Uncle Zhang, can you give me a piece of the completed jade pendant? Yang Ming hesitated and asked. Of course, this was originally yours. Zhang Jiefeng smiled. What kind of design do you want? I just need to instruct them. Yang Ming nodded. He decided to give Lan Ling a gift. He had already exo her many times, but he didn't give her a gift. Wasn't that too stingy? Pa Yang Ming. He just bent down and picked up 800,000 yuan. Zhang Bin was full of envy. Do you have a secret? The secret is that no matter how strong the net is, there will always be a fish that escapes the net. Yang Ming smiled. This is a probability, hee. What? Zhang Bin was stunned. Yang Ming's words make sense, but not entirely. In fact, this could be because Yang Ming was lucky. Zhang Jiefeng smiled. What do you mean? Zhang Bin still didn't understand. In fact, Uncle Zhang also said that these so-called eyes of stone gambling are mostly based on their intuition and experience. There is no difference between a good jade and a bad jade from the outside. Someone could really tell the quality of the jade from the outside who would sell the raw stones. It would be better to just pick the jade out directly. Those who mine all day long can't tell the difference, let alone these stone gambling people. So, I feel that there must be some missing jade in the pile that was picked out. Yang Ming explained, most people think that the raw stones won't have a good jade, but it doesn't mean that there won't be a good jade. I understand now. Zhang Bin nodded. What you mean is that the raw stones that weren't picked out and the raw stones that were picked out have the same probability of finding a good jade. Chapter 119. That's about it. Yang Ming was just spouting nonsense. He couldn't tell Zhang Bin that he saw the jadeite in the stone, right? That's right. Yang Ming is right. Zhang Jiefeng actually nodded. But I still feel that Yang Ming, your luck is extraordinarily good. It's just a coincidence. Yang Ming said, when I took the stone it felt like someone wanted me to do so. I didn't expect to pick up a treasure. If Boss Wu knew that I took his jadeite for free, he would be heartbroken. He wouldn't. At most he would be envious. People who want to do business for a long time wouldn't ruin their reputation because of a small profit. Of course, this isn't a small profit, but Wu Futsai doesn't need to ruin his reputation because of this. Zhang Jiefeng shook his head and explained, especially in the jadeite gambling business. If other customers knew that Wu Futsai went back on his words after seeing the jadeite, then his stone business would be over. After Yang Ming heard it, he felt that Zhang Jiefeng was right, so he didn't care. Originally, this jadeite stone was casually thrown on the table in Yang Ming's room. But now, since Zhang Jiefeng knew that it was a jadeite, he couldn't let Yang Ming casually put it in the room. One shouldn't have the intention to harm others, but one should always be vigilant. Who could guarantee that this hotel was 100% safe? The staff were all hired temporary workers. Who could guarantee that they wouldn't be tempted by the money? The people in Tingchong more or less understood the value of jadeite. If something worth a few 100,000 was casually placed in the room, it was hard to guarantee that no one would be tempted. So, Zhang Jiefeng directly put the jadeite in a bag and put it in his own password-protected luggage. At night, Yang Ming used his new phone to call his family. He had been out for 3 days. Yang Ming didn't contact his parents. He was afraid that his parents would be worried. Sure enough, Yang Ming's mother picked up the phone and heard Yang Ming's voice. She asked worriedly, "Big Ming, how are you? Are you used to living and eating there? Are you sick?" "Mom, don't worry. I'm fine. He's staying in a 3-star hotel, and the bathroom is even more luxurious than ours." Yang Ming comforted her. "I ate well and slept well. There are many snacks here, but I couldn't bring some for you and Dad to try." "What's there to bring? Mom is already so old. What haven't I eaten before? Do I still care about those snacks?" Although Mother Yang said this, she was very happy in her heart. It was enough that her son had such filial piety. I'll see if there are any plastic-sealed ones. I'll bring some back when I leave." Yang Ming smiled and said, "Are you and Dad doing well?" "We are all fine. By the way, Big Ming, your classmate just called home looking for you." Mother Yang said. "Classmate? Who is it?" Yang Ming's breathing became rapid. Yang Ming said with a smile, "I still need to save my money for when I get married in the future." "Why do you need to get married?" "Qin Mengyan is already your sister-in-law." Zhang Bin said halfway and suddenly felt that something was wrong. Lan Ling was still standing beside Yang Ming, so he said awkwardly, "You already have Lan Ling. Why do you still need to save money?" Lan Ling deliberately pretended that she didn't understand. She still had that cute expression on her face, but she bit her lips imperceptibly. Yang Ming laughed and didn't want to continue this topic. "Where's Uncle Zhang? What's the plan today?" My dad? I don't know. I just woke up. I'll wake him up later. Of course, it would be better if I caught him in bed. Yesterday, I was wondering if I should ask my dad to buy me a BMW. Zhang Bin said with a sneaky smile. This kind of thing can only be understood but not explained. I reckon that if you really shed all pretense of cordiality, you won't have a good ending. At most, your dad will be yelled at by your mom and die from kneeling on the washboard. As for your consequences, you should think about it yourself. Yang Ming said faintly. Zhang Bin laughed twice. He was just saying it casually. He didn't have the guts to catch me in bed. After Zhang Bin finished packing, the three of them came to Zhang Jiefeng's door. After knocking for a long time, Zhang Jiefeng opened the door with sleepy eyes. Zhang Bin, what's the matter? Dad, you're not awake yet. Zhang Bin knew that his father must have been woken up by him. And I didn't sleep well last night. You guys go and play. I want to sleep again. Zhang Jiefeng nodded. Dad, you slept early yesterday. It's almost 10 o'clock now. Why are you still sleepy? Zhang Bin felt strange. But in an instant his face showed an ambiguous expression. Could it be, little brat, don't talk nonsense. Your dad is just thinking about business. Zhang Jiefeng waved his hand impatiently. I'm so sleepy. I'll call you when I wake up. As Zhang Jiefeng was about to close the door, a lazy female voice suddenly came from the room. Boss, who is it? It's so early. I can't sleep because of the noise. Huh? Zhang Bin and Yang Ming looked at each other. What we just said was so effective. Zhang Jiefeng was also embarrassed. I forgot to turn off the TV. I'll turn it off. You guys go and play, Dad. Zhang Bin still wanted to say something, but he was interrupted by Zhang Jiefeng. Don't bother me. Otherwise the car will be ruined. Zhang Jiefeng said and closed the door. Chapter 120. See, I was right. Yang Ming patted Zhang Bin's shoulder sympathetically. My condolences. Bro, don't scare me. My car. Zhang Bin was shocked. You reap what you sow. Uncle Zhang already said that the TV wasn't switched off. Why didn't you give him some face? Yang Ming sighed. Just give him a way out. Didn't I want more benefits at that time? Zhang Bing muttered softly. More? You really want more? Then I can't do anything. Yang Ming shook his head. Don't bro, think about it. If I have a car, doesn't that mean you have a car too? Then you can drive Lan Ling for a ride. Zhang Bin tempted him. Yang Ming thought to himself, if I have the ability to see Jade, wouldn't it be a piece of cake to buy a car? However, he didn't want to be too flamboyant at the beginning. Besides, he was still a newbie. A newbie's car would be useless. He could use Zhang Bin's car to practice. So he said, actually, you just need to pretend that you don't know anything. At most, I can talk to you and say that we have to go to his shop to study Jade. It's inconvenient if we don't have a car. Yeah, it takes an hour to get from school to my dad's company. That's how it is. Zhang Bin nodded. Besides, he just earned 80,000 yuan from you. He should have bought it for me. However, this matter wasn't up to Zhang Bin anymore. Then the matter of Zhang Jiefeng looking for prostitutes was put on the table. In the afternoon, 2 police officers came to Zhang Jiefeng's hotel room. Of course, they weren't there to catch a prostitute. It was Zhang Jiefeng who called the police. Yang Ming's jade was missing. A jade worth 200,000 yuan was missing. The leader of the police station was very concerned. Tingcheng was a jade trading city. The government was very concerned about the safety of the merchants. Hence, not long after Zhang Jiefeng reported the case, 2 police officers came to investigate. After Yang Ming and Zhang Bin received the news, they immediately rushed back to the hotel. When they arrived at Zhang Jiefeng's room, the police were busy investigating the crime scene and taking notes. When did you find out that the jade was missing? When was the last time you saw the jade? The police officer asked. When I got up at noon, I opened the box and found that the jade was gone. Zhang Jiefeng answered, the last time I saw the imperial jade was when I put it in my bag last night. Who saw it when you put it in your bag? The officer asked. My son's classmate and his classmate's girlfriend are beside him. Zhang Jiefeng said honestly. Who is your son's classmate? How is your relationship with your son? The officer asked. Police comrade, are you suspecting my son's classmate? That's impossible. This piece of imperial jade belongs to him. Zhang Jiefeng quickly explained. So he was the owner of jadeite? Where is he? The officer asked. I am here. I am Yang Ming. Yang Ming nodded to the officer and walked over. I am the owner of Jadeite. The officer nodded and temporarily excluded Yang Ming. He didn't have any motive to commit the crime. He didn't need to steal his own things. In other words, the people who saw the jade were your own people, the officer asked. Yes. Zhang Jiefeng nodded. After they returned to their rooms, did anyone else come to your room? The officer asked. Zhang Jiefeng's face turned red. I called a prostitute. Where did you call her from? Do you know her name? Do you have her contact information? The officer didn't have the mood to reprimand Zhang Jiefeng's behavior. Losing a jade worth 200,000 yuan was much more serious than prostitution. If the case wasn't solved quickly, it would inevitably bring negative effects to other merchants. I contacted her according to this business card. According to the prostitute, her name was Xiao Li. Zhang Jiefeng didn't dare to hide. He took a business card from the bedside table and passed it to the officer. Yang Ming glanced at it and couldn't help but laugh. The business card said, Fragrance Pavilion Private Escort Female Student White Collar Model Door-to-Door Service Official Invoice. Contact number 139x×x×x. Contact Gui Yuan. Gui Yuan. Fuck, did this guy disguise himself as a Japanese? Or is he a pimp? He can even provide official invoices? Wonder why. Yang Ming wasn't worried about the jade that he lost. Maybe it was too easy, so Yang Ming didn't put it in his heart. Xiao Wang, can you check who this phone number belongs to? The officer passed the business card to another officer who just finished investigating the scene. Xiao Wang took off his white gloves, took the business card and left the hotel room. Did the prostitute bring anything with her when she left? For example, a bag? Also, when did she leave? The officer continued to ask. She left around 11 in the afternoon. She only brought a small handbag. Zhang Jiefeng said, if the handbag didn't contain anything else, it would be enough to contain the jade. But I didn't expect her to steal the jade, so I didn't pay much attention. Such a big boss, why don't you just bring a secretary out to do business? Why do you need a prostitute? The officer mocked Zhang Jiefeng. Now you lost 200,000 yuan worth of goods. Sir, I was wrong. I won't look for a prostitute anymore. Zhang Jiefeng was a little embarrassed. It wasn't that he didn't want to bring a secretary, but bringing a female secretary out with his son, this influence. All right, what's the point of saying this now? What was the point of saying this earlier? The officer asked a few more questions about the jade's appearance. Zhang Jiefeng answered them one by one. Deputy Director Li, I asked the informant. This Fragrance Pavilion private escort was set up by Beibei Bath's Feng Lao Lu. What do you think? At this moment Xiao Wang came back and told the officer. And I got it. The officer, who was called Deputy Director Li, took out his phone and dialed the number on the business card. After the call was connected, there was a sweet female voice. Hello, this is Fragrance Pavilion Private Escort Company. How can I help you? Help me find Feng Lao Lu. Deputy Director Li said. You're looking for Manager Feng? Please hold on. The female voice asked. After a while the phone changed to a man's voice. Hello, who is looking for me? Feng Lao Lu, I am Li Xiaoyang. Deputy Director Li said. It's Deputy Director Li. Why are you looking for me? Feng Lao Yu's voice immediately became warm. Feng Lao Lu, let me ask you. Is this Fragrance Pavilion Private Escort Company set up by you? Deputy Director Li asked. Deputy Director Li, this is a legitimate company. You're... Feng Lao Lu was shocked and quickly smiled apologetically. I don't care if you are a legitimate company or not. That is the Industry and Commerce Bureau's problem. Let me ask you a question now. Last night, there was a lady called Xiao Li who went to XX Hotel's XX room. Do you have her contact information? Deputy Director Li asked. Deputy Director Li, what do you mean? This is a legitimate company. How can there be a lady? Feng Lao Lu said with a bitter face. Feng Lao Lu, don't pretend to be confused. I am telling you. I have a case that involves that lady called Xiao Li. This has nothing to do with you. Why do you have to get involved? Deputy Director Li was a little angry. Feng Lao Lu understood when he heard this. His heart was a lot more at ease. It seemed that he was not here for him. So he quickly said, yes. I will find the address for you. Xiao Li's real name is Li Moli. She lives at XX Road, XX Room, Unit 4, 601. Is she at home? Deputy Director Li asked. I'm not sure, but she should be here. The lady's job is to work at night. Feng Laolu said. Okay, I got it. Don't tell anyone about what happened today. Or else you will have to bear the consequences. Deputy Director Li said. Also, you better be honest with me. If you cause any trouble, the first one I will deal with will be you. Yes, Deputy Director Li. I am a legitimate businessman. Feng Laolu said quickly. You are a legitimate businessman? Deputy Director Li shook his head. He asked Zhang Jiefeng a few more questions. Then he told him not to go out and to wait for news in the hotel. Yongming, I'm sorry. I lost your imperial jade. Zhang Jiefeng said with a little shame. It's okay, Uncle Zhang. Didn't you report it to the police? I believe there will be a result soon. Yongming smiled and comforted him. Don't worry. If you can't find it, Uncle Zhang will compensate you for the imperial jade. Don't be angry. Zhang Jiefeng said. Uncle Zhang, look at what you are saying. It's okay. At most, I will go and gamble for another piece of imperial jade tomorrow. Yongming shook his head and said indifferently. Zhang Jiefeng didn't say anything after he heard it. He knew that Yongming was comforting him. Was imperial jade something that could be obtained by gambling? Of course, he didn't know about Yongming's ability. If he knew about Yongming's ability, he would understand that anything was possible for Yongming. Chapter 121. After the police left, Zhang Bin and his son didn't mention anything about finding a prostitute. However, Zhang Jiefeng was still embarrassed. He felt that he had wronged Yongming. Yongming felt that the atmosphere in the room wasn't good, so he pulled Lan Ling back to his room. Yongming, I feel that this is weird. Lan Ling said as soon as they returned to the room. He had to say this girl's serious appearance was a bit awkward. What do you mean? Yongming asked. It's weird that the jade was lost. Although I have only been a prostitute for a day, I heard that a prostitute wouldn't rummage through the guests' luggage when I was chatting with others. Even a greedy prostitute would only take the money in the guest's pocket because everyone knows that a normal person wouldn't put valuable things in the luggage. Lan Ling analyzed, if that's the case, it's weird. You mean that Uncle Zhang stole it? Yongming shook his head. He also suspected Zhang Jiefeng just now. Although Zhang Jiefeng seemed like a good person, he still had to be cautious. A few 100,000 wasn't a small amount. Therefore, Yongming scanned the entire room with his X-ray vision. He didn't find any trace of the jade. In other words, it wasn't Zhang Jiefeng who hid the jade. That's not it. You know it. Let me tell you. My intuition is very accurate. I don't think Uncle Zhang did anything wrong. Lan Ling shook her head. It's a pity that the jade was lost. I wanted to make a jade pendant for you. Yongming smiled and shook his head. Give it to me. Lan Ling was stunned. She suddenly remembered that Yongming said that he wanted to keep a piece of jade. It was for her. Lan Ling couldn't help but feel sweet in her heart. It's okay. I'm happy that you have such intentions. Don't worry, Lan Ling. Even if I can't find the jade, I will find another one for you. Yongming felt that this wasn't a difficult thing to do. Other people who lost things were very anxious. Yongming lost 200,000 yuan worth of jade and even 800,000 yuan worth of jade. He still lay on the bed with a clear conscience and continued to study the brief analysis of jade stone knowledge. Lan Ling continued to study the live-action movie, because the program was different every day. Today's movie was a Japanese one. It was much more subtle than yesterday's American blockbuster. However, it had a lot more variety. Lan Ling watched it with great interest. From time to time she would ask Yongming some questions. She was like a good student who studied seriously. Yongming, look at what this is. Lan Ling pointed at the screen and asked. This is a vibrating egg. Yongming glanced at it and then continued to study the book in his hand. Vibrating egg? What is it for? Lan Ling asked again. What's the use of it? Can't you watch TV yourself? Yongming said unhappily. This Lan Ling, isn't she doing this on purpose? Hee. Lan Ling smiled slyly. I don't need this kind of thing. Lan Ling. Yongming was so angry that he glared at her. If you don't want to use it, then don't. Why did you have to tell me? My dear, do you want me? Lan Ling climbed onto the bed happily beside Yongming. Therefore, since Yongming couldn't bear it anymore, he didn't have to bear it anymore. At night, Deputy Chief Li from the nearby police station called and asked Zhang Jiefeng to come to the police station. Jasmine Li was found. In the police station's interrogation room, Yang Ming saw Jasmine Li, a woman who was dressed very flirtatiously. Yang Ming really doubted Zhang Jiefeng's taste. Isn't it too bad? Jasmine Li was obviously nervous. After all, this was a case that involved 200,000 yuan. She was just a prostitute. How could she not be nervous? I didn't take any jade at all. Is this dead fatty trying to frame me? Suddenly, a voice entered Yang Ming's mind. Yang Ming was stunned. He saw that the person beside him didn't have any reaction. He knew that he'd saw someone else's thoughts. This thought was obviously Jasmine Li's. Although Yang Ming didn't know how his special ability appeared suddenly, he still believed in his own ability. Since Jasmine Li had such thoughts, then she definitely wasn't the person who stole the jade. The dead fatty that she was thinking of was probably Zhang Jiefeng. As expected, Deputy Chief Li shook his head apologetically to Zhang Jiefeng. According to our investigation, this Jasmine Li is basically ruled out. We have seen the handbag that she used. Although it looked big on the outside, the space inside was very small. It wasn't enough to hold a piece of jade. Moreover, the most important thing is that if the person who took the jade was her, then she wouldn't go back to her original place to sleep. When we reached her house, Jasmine Li was putting on makeup and preparing to accompany a guest at night. This way her suspicion would be reduced even more. Especially a prostitute like her who belongs to an organization. It's different from a prostitute who works alone. As long as we find the boss behind the scenes, we can find them. People like her who steal things rarely do. Zhang Jiefeng nodded with disappointment. He knew that Deputy Chief Li made sense. The case has been reported to the branch office. Tomorrow the branch office will send someone over. Boss Zhang, they might ask you for more information. It's best that you don't touch the things in the hotel, especially your luggage. Deputy Chief Li instructed. No problem, I understand. Zhang Jiefeng nodded. Yang Ming had already expected this result, so he didn't do anything special. However, Zhang Jiefeng was very disappointed. He thought that once Jasmine Li was arrested, the jade would be found. He didn't expect to be happy for nothing. Zhang Jiefeng was a straightforward person. After leaving the police station, he wanted to bring Yang Ming to the bank. No matter what, he had to transfer 200,000 yuan to him. Uncle Zhang, what are you doing? The police haven't solved the case yet. Why are you in such a hurry? Yang Ming quickly rejected. Yang Ming, your Uncle Zhang doesn't lack this money. I don't feel at ease. I have been thinking about this for the whole afternoon. If you don't accept it, I won't be able to sleep at night. Zhang Jiefeng shook his head and hesitated. Yang Ming, you don't think that Uncle Zhang is embezzling, right? Of course not, Uncle Zhang. Why would you think so? Yang Ming quickly waved his hand. If this jade was made into a finished product, it could be sold for 800,000 yuan. Do you think that Uncle Zhang is greedy for your money? Zhang Jiefeng still felt uneasy. How is that possible? Uncle Zhang, if you want to lie to me, you can just say that this jade isn't valuable and buy it at a low price. Why do you have to spend so much effort? I have never doubted you. Yang Ming said. If you say so, then I am relieved. Zhang Jiefeng nodded and said, but you don't have to worry. If we can't find it, then I will compensate you for your loss. Yang Ming could only nod. Although the jade was lost, the business still had to be done. The most important thing was to find a way to make up for the loss. On the second day, Zhang Jiefeng brought Yang Ming and Zhang Bin to Liang Jinya's Jade Stone Company. Liang Jinya saw that they were unfamiliar, so he asked, Boss, how did you know that I have a new batch of raw stones? One of my business friends told me. He is one of your customers, but he didn't come this time. Zhang Jiefeng told the reason that he had thought of earlier. Who is your friend? Liang Jinya asked. Sun Lauer. Zhang Jiefeng said, I'm not sure about his real name. You know that people who do business don't like to show off. There's no need to get to the bottom of it. Liang Jinya nodded. He also understood that most of the customers who came here to get their goods used fake names for safety reasons. Since Zhang Jiefeng was introduced by a customer, then he couldn't reject him. So he said, Boss, since it's your first time here, let me tell you the rules. You have to get the new batch of goods. Each batch is at least 100,000 yuan. No problem. Zhang Jiefeng didn't mind and nodded. 100,000 yuan was nothing to him. Liang Jinya gave Zhang Jiefeng a few big woven bags. After he wrote a number on them, he signaled for him to pick the stones from the warehouse and weigh them. Boss Liang, I want to gamble a few stones, but I can't get 100,000. Is that okay? Yang Ming asked. You guys are together, so it doesn't matter. I'll give you another bag. You can pick by yourself. The reason why Liang Jinya set the requirement of 100,000 was because he was afraid that there would be customers who didn't get enough goods. But Yang Ming didn't need to follow the rules since he came together. Why, Yang Ming, do you still want to gamble? Zhang Jiefeng was surprised. Yeah, I'm interested in this business. I want to try my luck. Yang Ming nodded and smiled. Sure, uncle will pay for you. Zhang Jiefeng smiled. It's okay. I have my own money. Yang Ming didn't want to have any property disputes in the future. This kind of thing happened too often on TV and the internet. For example, two friends went out to buy. A wanted to buy a lottery ticket, but he didn't have any change. It was B who spent the money. When the lottery ticket was won, B wasn't happy. He went to court to sue A because he spent the money. So he felt that the prize money should belong to him. Chapter 122. Although Zhang Jiefeng was a forthright person, it was hard to guarantee that he wouldn't be tempted by money. 1 or 2 pieces of jade was fine, but a big sack, what kind of concept was that? Yang Ming didn't want to turn against Zhang Bin because of money. Hence there was a saying, brothers should settle their accounts clearly. This way it wouldn't cause any unnecessary trouble in the future. Why would I let you spend money when I'm out with Uncle Zhang? Zhang Jiefeng patted Yang Ming's shoulder. Why? Do you have a problem with Uncle Zhang? No, Uncle Zhang. You misunderstood. I just want to earn some money by gambling on stones. Only when the capital is yours, will there be a sense of achievement when you earn money in the future. Yang Ming said a seemingly reasonable reason. And that's right. You will cherish your own money. Zhang Jiefeng nodded and actually agreed. When he saw the pile of stones in the warehouse, Yang Ming was stunned. He was hoping to pick a sack of jade, but now it seemed like it would be difficult. Although Yang Ming could use his X-ray vision to find the stones that contained jade, most of the stones were underneath. He couldn't just move all the stones aside and only pick the one in the middle. If he did that, it would be strange if he didn't attract suspicion. There were already a few groups of merchants in the warehouse. They were surrounding the pile of stones and picking. They were whispering from time to time. This time Zhang Jiefeng didn't bring his eyes. Because at Wu Fatsai's place, the stones picked by his eyes weren't very good. It was like a win-win situation. It was hard work but no reward. Hence, Zhang Jiefeng decided to try his luck this time. The middle-aged Zhang Jiefeng believed in luck. If not, why would people with the same experience have such different lives? Some were already at the top of society while others were struggling to survive. The difference between people's IQ was the difference between a genius and a retard. Most people's IQ was about the same, and Zhang Jiefeng didn't think that he was smarter than others. Hence his current success could only be attributed to luck. Back then he and another laid-off worker went to the south to start an accessory business. Both of them casually brought some goods back to sell. While Zhang Jiefeng's goods were selling like hotcakes, that person's goods were piled up on the stall with no one interested. In the end he had to sell them at a loss. With this failure, the man bought a tricycle and went to work as a coolie. As for Zhang Jiefeng, he just casually picked the goods, but they were still selling well. If this wasn't luck, then what was it? Zhang Jiefeng and Zhang Bin were together. Yang Ming and Lan Ling were together. The two groups of people started their own stone gambling. Yang Ming scanned the exposed stones in a large circle. There was only one piece of jadeite. The rest were basically nephrite. However, there were many pieces of good quality jade. Through the conversation just now, Yang Ming already knew that the price of new jade was 500 yuan per caddy. He estimated that 10,000 yuan could buy 20 caddies of jade. Even if there wasn't that much jade, he could still make a lot of money by filling a bag with good quality jade. Thinking of this, Yang Ming let out a sigh of relief. There was only one piece of jadeite on the surface. Yang Ming, of course, wouldn't let it go. However, there was a group of people near the location of the jadeite stone. Yang Ming purposely squeezed through. Why did it feel like stealing someone's rice bowl? In fact, Yang Ming thought too much. In the stone gambling industry, it was all about snatching food. If you saw a stone, you had to quickly take it in your hands. Otherwise, if someone else took it first, you could only look at it. As long as the stone wasn't in the hands of others, anyone could take it. Yang Ming didn't know the rules. He was afraid that it wasn't polite. Hence, he wanted to wait for the group of people to leave before he went over. However, just as Yang Ming was hesitating, that piece of jadeite was taken by one of the group of people. Yang Ming's heart tightened. He regretted it in his heart. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have cared about his face. This piece of jadeite was bigger than the one he lost. Lan Ling saw Yang Ming's regretful expression. He was puzzled. What's wrong? Nothing. Yang Ming shook his head. Money. Yang Ming seemed to see the money grow wings and fly away. Lan Ling was far away. She couldn't feel whether the stone was good or bad. Intuition also had a distance. If it was too far away, it would be ineffective. Hence, she didn't know that Yang Ming had missed a good opportunity to make money. Yang Ming was suddenly stunned. The person who took the jadeite didn't put it in the bag. Instead, he just threw it at his feet. It seemed that this person had excluded it. Yang Ming was overjoyed. It seemed that this guy was also an idiot. After missing the opportunity once, Yang Ming didn't care about manners this time. He directly squeezed through. Yang Ming's figure was very swift and fierce. He easily squeezed the people on the side to the side. Why are you squeezing? There are so many places. Why do you have to come here to join in the fun? The person who was squeezed complained. Yang Ming didn't have time to care about him. He was afraid that the stone would be picked up by someone else. He directly bent down and grabbed the jadeite in his hand. Only then did he feel relieved and put it into his bag like a treasure. A few 100,000 yuan is in my hands. Making money is so easy. Thinking of the Chidian internet YY novels that he read before, Yang Ming was very proud. Using special ability to make money is more awesome than others. Seeing Yang Ming pick up a stone from under his feet, the boss who was squeezed couldn't help but say sarcastically, someone actually picked up a stone that was eliminated by Master Wang. He really doesn't mind having more money. How could Yang Ming not understand the boss's words? He was indirectly scolding him for not having good taste. The person who eliminated the jadeite was probably the Master Wang that the boss was talking about. Yang Ming couldn't help but curse in his heart. Idiot. What is an optimist? This guy is a typical example. He casually threw away a few 100,000 yuan item and still pretended to be cool. Yang Ming couldn't bear to attack this idiot, so he pretended that he didn't understand and left. Lan Ling and Yang Ming went together. Naturally, she also heard the boss's words. However, she also knew that Yang Ming picked up a good stone. She couldn't help but laugh. That boss is really stupid. And he is just average. I have seen people who are stupider than him. Yang Ming nodded. Yang Ming walked around the stone pile a few times and picked out the better quality jadeite. Of course, he also put in some trash. Otherwise, it would be too fake. After picking out a small sack, there was about half good jade and half bad jade. After sealing the mouth, he weighed it. 23 kilograms, 11,500 yuan. Yang Ming paid the money directly. Seeing that Zhang Bin and the others hadn't finished picking, Yang Ming decided to help them. He picked up a few jadeite pieces and threw them into Zhang Bin's sack. Of course, it was only a few pieces. He didn't want to overdo it. Zhang Jiefeng didn't specialize in this. 200 kilograms of jadeite was enough. He didn't make any extra movements. He sealed the mouth, weighed the money and left. Yang Ming, what about your sack of stones? Do you want to throw it away here or go back first? Zhang Jiefeng asked. Uncle Zhang, what about you? Yang Ming didn't know how to handle it. I'm going to transport it all back to Songjiang. Zhang Jiefeng said, I have my own processing plant. It is more convenient to go back. Then I will transport my sack back too. Yang Ming nodded and said. Yang Ming didn't want to make the same mistake twice. Before the jadeite was polished, it was no different from other stones. Therefore, he didn't have to worry about losing it during the transport. For safety reasons, it was better to go back to Songjiang first. After all, Yang Ming put in a lot of money this time. Of course, if other people in the jadeite business heard this, they would be shocked. 10,000 yuan worth of jadeite was considered a lot of money? The previous jadeite seemed to have disappeared. The police couldn't find anything. The hotel staff also investigated, but there was still no result. Although it took some time to solve the case, Zhang Jiefeng and Yang Ming had stayed here for almost a week. They hadn't explored the other places in Yunnan yet. After Zhang Jiefeng asked for Yang Ming's opinion, they decided not to wait any longer. The next day they checked out of the hotel and headed to Lijiang. Lijiang City was located at the junction between the Yunnan-Guizhou Plateau and the Qinghai-Tibet Plateau. It was more than 240 meters above sea level. Sichuan Longzhong, Shangxi Pingyao and Anhui Shirxian were the 4 best preserved ancient cities. If they didn't go to Lijiang for a trip to Yunnan, it would be a wasted trip. Although Zhang Jiefeng was already past his middle age, his interest in traveling didn't diminish. The four of them toured Jade Dragon Snow Mountain, Lijiang Ancient City, Lashi Sea, Spruce Field, Baishui River, Ganhaizi, Jade Peak Temple, Baisha Murals, Tiger Leaping Gorge, Yangtze River's First Bay, Lugu Lake, Yak Field, Laojun Mountain and Ice Tower Forest. Chapter 123. Suddenly his gaze stopped at a corner. Yang Ming couldn't help but frown. With such an explanation, the middle-aged woman's idea was confirmed. Along the way she looked at Yang Ming and Lan Ling with suspicion. She even suspected that Lan Ling's ID was fake. She didn't look like she was 17 years old. In the afternoon Yang Ming brought Lan Ling and Zhang Bin to a real estate agency. And there are 3 that meet your requirements. The houses were built after the year 2000. One of them is at the back door of Songjiang Industry University, Huafu District. The other 2 are the staff residential buildings of Songjiang Industry University. The middle-aged woman said, Huafu District is more expensive. The house was built last year. The area is bigger, 88 square meters. The staff residential buildings were built in 1999 and 2002 respectively. The area is about the same, 34 square meters. The one in 1999 was renovated, but the one in 2002 wasn't. Originally, Yang Ming's parents wanted to come to the airport to pick them up. Because Lan Ling was there, it was hard to explain. Therefore Yang Ming told his parents not to come. Zhang Jiefeng's driver would send them back. I don't go. The middle-aged woman had nothing to do. Of course she had to do business. Do you have an ID? She wanted to confirm that these 3 kids weren't here to cause trouble. It seemed that he could only find a house for Lan Ling first. He would think of a way to convince his parents later. Can the rent be cheap? Yang Ming asked. Yang Ming and Zhang Bin discussed for a while and asked for Lan Ling's opinion. They both felt that the staff residential building was a good choice. After all, most of the people living there were teachers. There weren't any people from the society. It was safer. How much is the rent? Yang Ming felt that the staff residential building was a good choice. Coincidentally, Zhang Bin and the others also came out. The 4 of them checked out. A waiter came to check the facilities in the room. Yang Ming carefully looked at the waiter who came to clean his room. He memorized his appearance in his heart. One of the owners went out. Now we only have the renovated one from 1999. Is that okay? After putting down the phone, the middle-aged woman asked. As for Yang Ming, he was very surprised when he saw Professor Lu come down from the car. This person was Lu Weishan, whom he had met in Tingchong a while ago. Yang Ming was stunned. It turned out that Lu Weishan didn't recognize him just now. He couldn't help but feel slightly disappointed. However, he immediately thought about how Lu Weishan was so famous. He would definitely come into contact with many people every day. It was normal for him to not remember someone he had only met once. Just a reminder, you are not allowed to have any private contact with the house owner later. The middle-aged woman said, just to be safe, you have to give me a deposit of 50 yuan first. Otherwise, how am I going to make money if you bypass me? Catch a flight? Although she usually woke up earlier than Yang Ming, it was only 3 in the morning, the time when she was most sleepy. Can't you sleep a little longer? Today was the day to return to Songjiang by plane. Yang Ming got up very early. He looked at Lan Ling, who was sleeping like a kitten. He patted her back and said, Lan Ling, get up quickly. We have to catch the plane today. Right. I remember now. You are the young man I met in Tingchong's Xinhua bookstore. Lu Weishan touched his forehead and suddenly said. Songjiang Industry University's residential area was in the campus. After Yang Ming stayed in the campus, it would be very convenient for him to find Lan Ling. Because it was built by the university for its own employees, the environment here was very good. There was a professional cleaning staff and entry and exit required a pass. If there were people who came to visit friends, the security room would call the owner to verify. Therefore, people who were not authorized to enter couldn't enter. We can talk about Huafu District. The price for the residential area is the lowest. The middle-aged woman said, if you think it is suitable, I will contact the house owner to look at the house. Yang Ming found it funny. Go wash your face and brush your teeth. Sleep on the plane. What is the relationship between the 2 of you? The middle-aged woman liked to be a busybody. Let's look at the residential area. Yang Ming said. The residential area's rental is 800 yuan per month. The residential area's rental is 1,500 yuan per month. The middle-aged woman said. Okay, when do we look at the house? Yang Ming didn't care if the house was renovated well. Okay, let's go look at the house now. When Professor Lu saw Yang Ming, he couldn't help but be stunned. Zhang Bin didn't know what the middle-aged woman was thinking, so he explained, my dad's car is from the company. It's not ours. It's hers. Yang Ming pointed at Lan Ling. Sometimes I also live there. In order to arrange for Lan Ling, Yang Ming called his parents after he arrived in Songjiang. He told them that he would go to Zhang Bin's house first and go back at night. Anyway, Yang's father and mother Yang had to go to work, so they didn't care. 10% was 80 yuan. It was quite reasonable. Yang Ming nodded and said, no problem. Yang Ming thought that it was true. He looked at the business license on the wall again. He felt that this person shouldn't be a scammer, so he took out 50 yuan and gave it to the middle-aged woman. However, she immediately stopped talking. She probably subconsciously thought that Yang Ming and Zhang Bin were rich young masters. Lan Ling was Yang Ming's mistress behind his family's back. Okay, I'll tell you the intermediary fee first. Once you decide to rent, you and the owner will pay me 10% of the monthly rental as the intermediary fee. The middle-aged woman said. Okay, you can fly back by yourself. I'll go first. Yang Ming smiled. When the middle-aged woman heard that it was a student, she immediately felt relieved. She was afraid that it would be rented to a social worker. When the time came, the owner would come and find her. Who rents the house? Songjiang's housing agencies hadn't formed a chain business model yet. They were all small private businesses. The operators were mostly middle-aged women. The middle-aged woman in front of them looked at the intimate man and woman in front of her with suspicion. You can rent it now. The middle-aged woman said. The owner is a professor from Songjiang Industry University. The house is assigned by the university, but he still has another one. This one is empty. Elder Lu, how come it's you? Yang Ming said happily. Zhang Jiefeng had already told Yang Ming about Lu Weishan's identity, so Yang Ming was very respectful to him. Boyfriend and girlfriend. Yang Ming answered. After about 10 minutes, a Volkswagen Golf stopped at the entrance of the neighborhood. An old man in his 50s came down from the car. The middle-aged woman quickly greeted him. Professor Lu, I've brought the person to look at the house. Seeing Zhang Bin's Chrysler 300C, the middle-aged woman couldn't help but ask, you're sitting in such a good car and you still want to rent a house? 1 or 2 houses are fine. It's best if it's a house from 2,000 years ago. It doesn't matter if it's renovated or not as long as the environment is good. Yang Ming didn't know much about this. He just told his request to the middle-aged woman. The middle-aged woman gave him a deposit receipt and contacted the owner of the house. The middle-aged woman was a small business. She operated alone. She directly locked the door and brought Yang Ming to look at the house. Now Yang Ming couldn't enter. They stood at the entrance of the family area and waited for the owner to pick them up. After Lan Ling tidied herself up, Yang Ming went to wash his face and brush his teeth. After everything was ready, Yang Ming carried his luggage and left the room with Lan Ling. Zhang Bin and Zhang Jiefeng were staying in the same room this time. With the previous lesson, Zhang Jiefeng wouldn't find a prostitute even if he was beaten to death. Lan Ling didn't wear clothes when she slept. Therefore she walked to the bathroom with her but naked. In front of Yang Ming there was nothing to hide. Are you here to check the household registration? Zhang Bin at the side was a little impatient. Are you doing business or not? If not, we will go to someone else's house. You're... Lu Weishan felt that Yang Ming looked familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had seen him before. Yang Ming had the urge to carry Lan Ling back to the bed and ravage her, but time was tight. He could only think about it. Yes. Yang Ming didn't want to waste time with her, so he explained, we are students from Songjiang University. My girlfriend's family is not from here. She wants to rent a house nearby to accompany me. Can you help me to see if there is a suitable one? Wait, let me check for you. The middle-aged woman took out an old booklet and checked. What standard do you want? How much? I'm up. Lan Ling sat up quickly and rubbed her eyes. They didn't talk along the way, but Lan Ling's residence in Songjiang was a problem. He couldn't just take her home and leave, right? Although he and her were already husband and wife, things had to be done step by step. He had to let his parents accept it bit by bit. Boyfriend and girlfriend? Are you adults? The middle-aged woman curled her lips. After simply packing the luggage, Yang Ming used his X-ray vision to scan the entire room. He was afraid that he would miss something in the corner. Chapter 124. Elder Lu, you still remember me? Yang Ming was very happy that Lu Weishan recognized him. And I remember. I went to Tingchong for a private matter. I didn't interact with many people, so I remember you. Lu Weishan smiled. Young man, why did you come to Songjiang? I am originally from Songjiang. I just finished the college entrance exam and was preparing to apply for Songjiang Industry University. Yang Ming smiled. You are the one who rented the house? Lu Weishan asked. Yes, me and my girlfriend. Yang Ming pointed at Lan Ling and said. Good, not bad. This little girl looks quite lively. Lu Weishan praised. Go. Let's sit in my house first. I will get the keys. I say, are you still renting this house? The middle-aged woman was unhappy that Yang Ming knew the owner of the house. She guessed that this business couldn't be done anymore. Thank you. I know him, so I won't trouble you. Lu Weishan said apologetically to the middle-aged woman. Then I will say this first. I won't return the 50 yuan deposit that you paid just now. The middle-aged woman didn't want to lose out. Yang Ming knew that it was reasonable for him to know Lu Weishan, but it wasn't fair for the middle-aged woman. Therefore he didn't argue with her. He nodded and said, okay, I won't return it. You have been busy for half a day. After the middle-aged woman heard this, she left with satisfaction. It would cost 1 yuan to take the bus back from here. Elder Lu is a professor at Songjiang Industry University? Yang Ming heard about this from the middle-aged woman. Yes, I am a professor here. Lu Weishan said, are you going to Tingchong for a holiday? Not really. My friend Zhang Bin is him. Yang Ming pointed at Zhang Bin and said, his father is in the jewelry business. He went to Tingchong to gamble on jade. I followed him to join in the fun. So that's the case. Lu Weishan said, I thought you wanted to do this business. To tell you the truth, I was planning to do the same. Yang Ming didn't hide it. If he could get Lu Weishan's support, he believed that his business could be built up quickly. I'm preparing to go to school while earning some tuition fees. Not bad, this is a good idea. Lu Weishan nodded. I have done some research on jades. If you have any questions, you can find me. They followed Lu Weishan to his residence. Lu Weishan invited them into the house and instructed his wife to make tea. Yang Ming carefully sized up Lu Weishan's residence. The house was about 150 square meters and the decorations were exquisite. It had an antique feel to it. Which major are you going to apply for? Lu Weishan took a sip of tea and started to chat. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to discuss it with my family, Yang Ming replied. And I teach history. For my profession, you can do it if you want to be an academic, but it won't be easy for you to find a job. I can exercise my rights as the owner of the house at any time. Elder Lu, don't worry. I guarantee that the house won't change its original appearance. Yang Ming was relieved after hearing and nodded. Lu Weishan was a very famous person. He shouldn't have other intentions towards Yang Ming. Yang Ming and Lan Ling walked around the house. The more they looked, the more satisfied they felt. This was just like a newly decorated house. There was a television, a washing machine, an air conditioner, a refrigerator, and other household appliances. While feeling satisfied, Yang Ming was a little puzzled. Why didn't Lu Weishan's son live here? In the bedroom, a big wedding photo attracted Yang Ming's attention. A young man who looked similar to Lu Weishan was hugging a girl who wasn't very beautiful but was very virtuous. Both of them were smiling very sweetly. Yang Ming guessed that this could be Lu Weishan's son and daughter-in-law. But Yang Ming was even more puzzled. If the wedding photo was hung here, why didn't they live here? While he was thinking, Lu Weishan and Zhang Bin walked in. Lu Weishan saw Yang Ming looking at the photo on the wall and sighed. Take down the photo. Don't hang it up. I don't know if they will come back. Yang Ming didn't reply because Lu Weishan was vague. Yang Ming didn't really understand. He just said, okay, I will take it down later and keep it well. Okay, I am not feeling very well. I will go back first. I will leave the key to you. Come visit me when you are free. Lu Weishan's expression wasn't very good. The community pass will take 2 days to get done. In these 2 days, just tell the guard that you are looking for me. Hey, Elder Lu. Are you okay? Yang Ming asked with concern. I am fine. I am old. Thinking about the past is a little sad. I will go first. Lu Weishan waved his hand and walked out of the house. After Lu Weishan left, Zhang Bin whispered, "Why is this elder Lu so mysterious? Doesn't this house cost money?" Yang Ming shook his head. Maybe it was like what he said. He didn't care about the rent. This is understandable. But Elder Lu's expression was a little weird today. I think so too. Especially when he talked about his son. Zhang Bin agreed. Could it be that Elder Lu and his son had a conflict or generation gap so his son didn't live in front of him? Yang Ming guessed. It is also possible. Maybe he went abroad? Who knows? Zhang Bin said, I don't care. But you really earned a lot today. You didn't spend a single cent to rent such a good house. I'm so envious. Damn, didn't I spend 50 yuan as a middleman? Yang Ming said. I despise you. But if you feel wronged, take the receipt from the middleman and ask her for the money. Zhang Bin said. Forget it. She will scold me again. Yang Ming shook his head. Oh yeah, Lan Ling, what do you think of this place? Lan Ling? Why aren't you talking? At this moment, Lan Ling was staring at the big picture on the wall in a daze. Lan Ling, what happened to you? Why are you in a daze? Yang Ming was a little confused. Chapter 125. I seem to have seen these two people before. Lan Ling frowned and said thoughtfully. You've seen them before? Yang Ming was a little stunned after listening. I think they look familiar but I can't remember. Lan Ling shook her head and smiled faintly. She returned to her original cute expression. Forget it. Let's not think about it. Put the photos away. Yang Ming nodded. There were many people in the world who looked similar and felt familiar. There was no need to get to the bottom of it. Finding a chair, he and Zhang Bin took off the photos and put them in the cabinet. Lan Ling was a person who was obsessed with cleanliness. She first wiped the dust in the house, then carefully brushed the toilet and shower in the bathroom. Yang Ming had to go home at night. He couldn't stay here, so he told Lan Ling to be careful. If there was anything, they could contact each other via text. Because both of their cards were brought back from Yunnan, if they called here there would be a high roaming fee. Out of the entrance of the community, Zhang Bin couldn't help but laugh. Yang Ming, is this considered keeping a mistress in a golden house? Then why? Are you envious? If you are envious, you can also find a girlfriend. I think Uncle Zhang Bin will buy you a house here if he is happy. Yang Ming looked at Zhang Bin with contempt. This kid knows how to be hypocritical. Sure enough, when Zhang Bin heard this, he immediately said with a bitter face, forget it. You also know that I'm a person who doesn't have a fixed character. Which girl can be with me? I still like the one-night stand in the video. It's so exciting. Forget it. I don't like the woman I have slept with to sleep with someone else. I don't have such good psychological quality. Yang Ming was more traditional in this regard. Although Yang Ming also had a virgin complex, it wasn't that he couldn't accept a virgin. The most important thing was to be with her. This was what Yang Ming wanted. Right, speaking of which, how do you want to deal with Qin Mingyan's problem? Zhang Bing thought of the key point of the problem. Don't tell me you want to have a foot in both camps? Don't mention it. Just thinking about it gives me a headache. Yang Ming shrugged his shoulders. This is all because of you. You dragged me out to look for a prostitute. Now I found a wife. What's wrong with looking for a prostitute? There are so many people looking for a prostitute, but I don't see anyone bringing her home. Zhang Bin looked at Yang Ming with a smile that was not a smile. You're the first one I've seen. That's because you didn't realize that many of the boss's wives came from brothels. Yang Ming recalled the web novel he had read before. The point is, you're not the big boss. Zhang Bin shook his head. I don't know what you're thinking. Although this Lan Ling is cute, we don't know her background. You brought her back. Forget it, I won't say more. You decide for yourself. Why should I decide? You're the one who brought up the topic. Don't tell Qin Mengyan about this. I'll think about it again. Yang Ming said. Am I the kind of person who talks nonsense? Don't worry. I'll help you keep it a secret. Zhang Bin patted his chest. When he returned home, it was already 6 o'clock. Yang Ming's parents had gotten off work. They were very happy to see Yang Ming come back. Big Ming, you're tanned. Yang Dahai patted his son's shoulder. How was it? Did you have fun? It was fun. When I make money in the future, I'll bring both of you there. The scenery there is really good. Yang Ming smiled and put the luggage on the ground. Good. My son has grown up. With your words, I'm satisfied. Yang Dahai listened to Yang Ming's words and immediately smiled. And just as Big Ming starts working, we'll retire. It'll be our turn to enjoy life. Mother Yang was also very happy. Which parent didn't like to hear such words? Child's mother, you really want to ask for your son's salary? Yang Dahai gave Mother Yang a look. It's so difficult for college students to find a job now. Many of them are unemployed at home. Even if they find a job, the salary at the beginning of the internship is very low. Hee, I'm just saying. Our son will have a girlfriend at that time. The cost will be even higher. How can we ask for our son's money? Mother Yang naturally understood the truth. We have to subsidize our son a little every month. That's of course. If you want to have a grandson as soon as possible, how can you not put in some money? Nowadays, which girl will be with you if you don't have money? Yang Dahai also nodded. That Mom. What are you talking about? I can make money in a few days. You don't have to work so hard. You can eat what you want to eat and wear what you want to wear. I think it won't be a problem to earn the tuition fee. Yang Ming thought about it and decided to simply tell his parents what he wanted to do. Of course, he couldn't tell them everything. After all, his special ability was too strange. He was afraid that it would scare his parents. You can make money in a few days. What's going on? Mother Yang asked curiously. Yang Dahai was also surprised. This is the case. I decided to work during the holidays. Work while studying. Yang Ming said. Work while studying? Work while studying? Mother Yang was stunned, then she asked worriedly, is that okay? What kind of work? I'm not sure. I often read in the newspaper that some black-hearted bosses deduct the wages of workers. Many people who worked for a few months didn't get a penny in the end. You can't be fooled. That's right, Big Ming. Don't be fooled by others. There are a lot of scammers in society now. Yang Dahai was also very worried. It is said that there are a lot of illegal businesses. You have to be careful. Dad, Mom, you don't have to worry. It's not as scary as you said. Yang Ming smiled and said, there are so many people who come out to work and they are fine. You are different from others. You don't have any social experience. You are still young. Yang Dahai immediately said, Dad, listen to me first. The place I am going to work is Uncle Zhang's company, Zhang Bin's father. Yang Ming explained, I have already told him that I will work there. Zhang Bin's father's company? Isn't it in jewelry? What can you do there? Mother Yang was a bit puzzled. Do they want a male salesperson? Mom. Yang Ming was a little dumbfounded. Can your son only be a salesperson? Can't he do something with technical content? Technical content? You don't understand jewelry. What can you do? Mother Yang asked puzzledly. When I traveled to Yunnan this time, I found that I am more talented in jade. I will do this. Yang Ming said, even Uncle Zhang said that I have a good eye. Yang Ming's half-truth made Yang's father and Mother Yang feel relieved. After all, it was his classmates' company. There shouldn't be any messy things. That's fine. You study hard and work hard. Take how much money they give you. Don't be unsatisfied. Yang Dahai said. I know. Yang Ming could only think of this excuse for the time being. After all, he couldn't say that he used his special ability to make money. In the evening, after the family had dinner, Yang Ming opened the travel bag and took out the gifts he brought back from Yunnan. Dad, Mom, this is for you. Aya, it's good that you are back. You don't have to buy gifts. Although Mother Yang said so, the smile on her face was very bright. These are some of Yunnan's specialties and small handicrafts. They aren't worth much. You can take them as gifts. It's just a token of my heart. Yang Ming said, try the 2 packets of plastic-sealed rice noodles. The taste is good. Okay, I will try it with your dad tomorrow morning. Mother Yang smiled. In the evening, Yang Ming turned on the computer and opened QQ. He received several messages. Wild female teacher. Are you there? Play fight the landlord with me. Wild female teacher. Speak. Wild female teacher. Not there? There were more than 10 messages from wild female teacher, and the content was similar. There were also a few messages left by I am a big star. They were all meaningless words like are you there, and so on. Yang Ming closed them directly. What made Yang Ming excited was that Xiao Yan, which was Qin Mingyan's QQ, left him a message. Xiao Yan, Yang Ming, I am Mingyan. I heard that you went to Yunnan to play. Remember to bring me a gift. After reading Qin Mingyan's message, Yang Ming didn't know if he should be happy or sad. Qin Mingyan called herself Mingyan in front of Yang Ming for the first time. What did this mean? It meant that Qin Mengyan didn't treat Yang Ming as an outsider. Moreover, Qin Mengyan didn't mention anything about the previous incident. In other words, Qin Mengyan might have gone back on her words. Moreover, the slightly playful "bring me a gift" was a completely coquettish tone. This made Yang Ming didn't know what to do. If it was a few days ago, Yang Ming might be ecstatic. But now that he had Lan Ling, everything was different. Although he still liked Qin Mengyan very much, he couldn't be with her anymore. Chapter 126. Yang Ming wanted to return the call to Qin Mengyan, but he couldn't. Although Yang Ming didn't take the previous misunderstanding seriously, a new problem arose. Let's not talk about the voodoo problem. Even if there was no voodoo, would Qin Mengyan accept Lan Ling? Would Lan Ling accept Qin Mengyan? Could it be that they were going to sleep together like what was described in web novels? It was fine to fantasize about it, but it wasn't feasible to do it. Girls these days were all extremely devious. Who would share a husband with another girl? The next morning, Yang Ming visited Fong Tian first and brought him some local specialties from Yunnan. Yang Ming felt that Fong Tian had no children and his wife betrayed him. He was very pitiful. Yang Ming had only been to Fong Tian's house once, but his memory was better, so he could still find it. After opening the door, Fong Tian saw Yang Ming and welcomed him in with enthusiasm. "How come you have time to visit an old man like me today?" "Uncle Fong, I just came back from Yunnan. I brought you some local specialties." Yang Ming smiled and put the bag in his hand in the house. "What are you bringing? An old man like me can't eat it." Fong Tian shook his head and smiled. "You still thought of me. Thank you, young man. Uncle Fong, you don't have any children. I have nothing to do, so I came to visit you." Yang Ming's nature was not bad. On the contrary, he was a very kind-hearted person. When he went out to be a small punk, it was also because of Suya's matter that he gave up on himself. In the final analysis, he did not like that kind of life. That's great. You can come more often in the future." Fong Tian said, "As for the things, don't buy any more. I still have some retirement money. You don't have any source of income." "Okay, then I will come to visit you alone next time." Yang Ming didn't refuse. Although he was going to become a millionaire soon, it was just soon. He hadn't become one yet, right? "Yang Ming." Fong Tian hesitated and said ambiguously, "Have you seen Bao Sanli?" Fong Tian was hesitating because he didn't know Yang Ming very well. He just felt that his character was good, so he didn't say it in the end. "Bao Sanli? Have they been released?" Yang Ming was a little surprised. In the detention center, he had the best relationship with Bao Sanli. If he was released, he should really find him. "Well, not long after you left, Bao Sanli went to court. Because both parties were responsible, Bao Sanli was only sentenced to compensate the other party a sum of money. There was no sentence." Although Fong Tian still looked dispirited, his thoughts were clear when he spoke. It was hard to imagine that he was the crazy old man in the detention center who sang in the middle of the night and was delirious. I really miss them," Yang Ming said with a smile. "Right, Uncle Fong, have your previous assets been returned to you?" Previous assets. The inertia of the subway made him directly fall forward. In front of Yang Ming, it was Lin Jiyun who had just sat down. Peng! With a sound, Yang Ming directly lay in Lin Jiyun's arms, and his head directly fell into her chest. Chapter 127. For a moment, Lin Jiyun was stunned. What is he going to do? Isn't this too sudden? Did he recognize me? However, Lin Jiyun understood the current situation in an instant. Yang Ming was sticking to her because of inertia. Although Lin Jiyun was a little shy when she thought of herself and him, so she didn't yell. She just reminded him with an unnatural voice. Yang Ming actually reacted a long time ago, but it was really cool to bury his head in the arms of a beauty. However, when he thought of the last time Qin Mengyan used her knee to hit his little brother, he immediately sobered up. He didn't dare to continue. He quickly stood up awkwardly. "Sorry, I didn't hold the handrail when the bus stopped." "It's okay." Lin Jiyun shook her head and said faintly. From her expression, Yang Ming couldn't see whether she was angry, so he didn't dare to talk again. He stood aside honestly. Lin Jiyun was a girl who didn't express her feelings. In fact, she didn't feel that Yang Ming's behavior was taking advantage of her. Of course, this was only for Yang Ming. Lin Jiyun didn't want Yang Ming to recognize her, so she simply lowered her head and pretended to be very shy. Yang Ming also knew that his behavior was too reckless, so he was embarrassed to say anything. But Yang Ming felt that the girl in front of him was familiar. And she was very familiar. I must have seen her before, but where is she? Yang Ming didn't have any impression of her. The vague face alternated in Yang Ming's mind, but he couldn't remember. Did I see her in a dream? Then is she considered as a dream lover? Yang Ming was a little speechless. Finally, Yang Ming decided to ask the girl's name. Maybe he could remember something. You. Just as Yang Ming opened his mouth to say you, the girls stood up at the same time. I'm here. You sit down. Thank you. Lin Jun stood up with the thermos flask. That's fine. Yang Ming couldn't ask anymore and could only shake his head helplessly. This stop is the city hospital. When the Yang Ming Association saw the thermos flask in the girl's hand, he couldn't help but think, is her family member sick in the hospital? Was she here to deliver food to her family? Well, if that's the case, then she's really a filial girl. Yang Ming sighed. As he was about to sit down, a yellow-haired man quickly squeezed in. When he saw the seat in front of Yang Ming, he wanted to sit on it. There is still a seat here. Huang Mao was so eager to sit down that he squeezed Lin Jun. He quickly used his hand to protect the thermos flask. When Yang Ming saw that Lin Jun wasn't standing steadily, he quickly reached out to support her. Thank you. Lin Jun nodded. She got rid of Yang Ming's arm without a trace and got off the subway. Fuck this damn Huang Mao. Not only did he take my seat, but he also hit my dream girl. Do you want to die? Yang Ming was annoyed. He pointed at Huang Mao and scolded, you fucking stand up for me. Are you an idiot? Why should I stand up? Is your brain okay? Huang Mao had a mocking face. First you took my seat. Second you hit the girl but you didn't even fart. Don't you know how to say sorry? Yang Ming stared at Huang Mao arrogantly. What does it have to do with you that I hit her? Why are you pretending? She already got off the train. You're a fucking hero. Huang Mao said sarcastically, but he didn't mean to get up. Yang Ming didn't talk nonsense with him anymore. He stepped forward, grabbed Huang Mao's t-shirt, pulled him up and threw him aside. Then he sat down calmly. You. Huang Mao wanted to be angry but he hesitated. He thought that the other person could lift him up with one hand. It wouldn't be good to fight with him. He had to stand aside and think about how to retaliate against Yang Ming. Yang Ming no longer cared about Huang Mao. He thought about the girl just now. Suddenly Yang Ming was shocked. What happened to me? I have Lan Ling and the problem with Qin Mingyan hasn't been solved yet. Why am I thinking about another girl? Yang Ming quickly dispelled his thoughts. He took out his mobile phone and played the built-in game. Huang Mao saw that Yang Ming was so leisurely and actually played a mobile game. He was angry. However, he obviously couldn't beat this burly man in front of him. He could only think of a way to trick him. Thinking about this, Huang Mao made up his mind. He took out the wallet in his pocket and shook it in his hand. A sinister smile appeared on his face. Huang Mao was usually a hooligan. He stole and got into fights. His hands and feet were very nimble. Taking advantage of the inertia of stopping the car, Huang Mao successfully stuffed the wallet into Yang Ming's coat pocket. Although Yang Ming was playing the gluttonous snake on his mobile phone, he was very clear about Huang Mao's little movements. Yang Ming had been a hooligan since he was young. He knew the psychology of this kind of person very well. He definitely wanted to take revenge, so Yang Ming had been paying attention to Huang Mao's movements. He also had a pretty good idea of what Yellow Hair was going to do. Yang Ming casually used his X-ray vision to look at the wallet in his pocket. Hey, this Huang Mao is really willing to spend a lot of money. There is a total of 2,348 yuan in the wallet and a Jelongpo KTV voucher. If you want to trick me, let's see who is the unlucky one. Yang Ming was still very interested in getting a few thousand yuan for himself. Therefore, Yang Ming pretended not to notice and continued to play with the Nokia phone in his hand. He even deliberately played with it. After about a minute, Huang Mao began to act up. Aya. Where is my wallet? Why is my wallet gone? Huang Mao's shout immediately attracted the attention of all the subway passengers. Who stole my wallet? No, I have to call the police. Huang Mao shouted. Yang Ming acted like he didn't hear it. He was still playing with the mobile phone game, but the corner of his eyes was staring at Huang Mao, who was acting. He sneered in his heart. Huang Mao saw that Yang Ming didn't look at him, so he was even angrier. He had an idea. He pointed at Yang Ming and shouted, I think you stole my wallet. Yes, it must be you. Yang Ming lazily raised his eyelids and looked at Huang Mao. Are you an idiot? After that he continued to play with the mobile phone game. Huang Mao was angered by Yang Ming. He thought you are arrogant. Let's see how arrogant you are later. Then why is it that when I lost my wallet, others are watching but you are lowering your head? You obviously have a guilty conscience. I don't want to argue with a retard. If you think so I can't do anything. Yang Ming looked at Huang Mao and said faintly, there are a lot of crazy people in this world. How can there be so much fun to watch? If I think it is you. Do you dare to let me search you? Huang Mao pointed at Yang Ming and shouted. Search? Did your head get kicked by a donkey? What right do you have to search others? Yang Ming sneered. If you don't do anything wrong you are not afraid of ghosts. If you are innocent let me search you. Huang Mao said unrelentingly. According to what you said you have to search everyone in this carriage? Yang Ming asked. You are the closest to me. Of course I will search you first. If the wallet isn't on you I will naturally search other people. Huang Mao was sure that the wallet was on Yang Ming so he dared to speak confidently. However, the other passengers in the subway didn't know the inside story. When they heard that Huang Mao was going to search them, they were immediately unwilling. Originally, all the passengers were indifferent and didn't care about it. But now that it was related to their interests, some people didn't want to do it. Call the police. Call the police. Yeah, let the police search us. What are you doing? The other passengers complained. At this time, someone pressed the alarm bell in the subway. Huang Mao didn't stop it. Anyway, he had full confidence. It was better to alarm the police. Maybe they could arrest this guy, Yang Ming. Not long after, two subway police came to the carriage where Yang Ming and Huang Mao were. What happened? Who pressed the alarm bell? An older subway police asked. It's like this. Huang Mao immediately said, I lost my wallet. I suspect that the person next to me stole it. Huang Mao pointed at Yang Ming and said. The older subway police was stunned. He was sitting. How could he steal your wallet? It must be him. I'm sure. He was the only one who touched my body. So Huang Mao repeated the conflict with Yang Ming. Anyway, it wasn't against the law to steal a seat on the train. At most, it was a little embarrassing. Sure enough, after the young subway policeman heard this, he looked at the blonde with some disdain. However, according to Huang Mao, Yang Ming was indeed very suspicious. Chapter 128. Is what he said true? The young subway policeman asked Yang Ming. Yes, it's basically true, but I didn't steal his wallet. Yang Ming said faintly. Then why did he insist that you stole it? The young subway policeman asked. How would I know? I'm not him. Maybe it's because he was dissatisfied with my behavior and wanted to frame me. Yang Ming shook his head and said slowly. No, he stole my wallet. If you don't believe me, you can search him. Huang Mao shouted. I'm sorry, sir. I want to check the items on your body. Please cooperate. The older subway policeman winked at the young subway policeman and then said to Yang Ming. Okay, no problem. I'm also annoyed by him. Please clear my name as soon as possible. Yang Ming said, if you don't find his wallet, please ask him to apologize to me. The older subway policeman was a little embarrassed. It wasn't a problem to ask them to apologize, but to ask Huang Mao to apologize, this wasn't something they could force. No problem. If you didn't steal it, I will apologize. Huang Mao said in a hurry. Really? Yang Ming looked at Huang Mao. Really, I can even call you grandfather. Huang Mao was excited and was a little smug. The young subway policeman frowned after listening, but other people were willing to be a grandson. What did it have to do with him? So he began to check Yang Ming's body. When he took out the wallet in Yang Ming's jacket pocket, Huang Mao pointed at the wallet and shouted, This is my wallet. This is it. Police comrade, he is a thief. You have to catch him. What's going on? The young subway policeman looked at Yang Ming suspiciously and asked. He just looked at the young man's appearance. He was very calm. He didn't have the nervousness of other criminal suspects, so he almost didn't think that he stole Huang Mao's wallet. He didn't expect to find it. This is my wallet. Just because he says it's his, it's his? Yang Ming said with some amusement. Then can I just point at other people's things and say they are mine? What evidence do you have to prove that this wallet is yours? He asked Huang Mao. What's mine is mine. Why don't you ask him what evidence he has? Huang Mao asked deliberately. I'm asking you now. The wallet is with him. You said it's yours, so naturally you have to prove it. The young subway policeman was a little unhappy. Oh, there's 2,348 yuan in there, and a voucher for the Zhilongpo KTV. Huang Mao said as if he was familiar with the items. This was something that he had decided beforehand. Originally it was 2,500 yuan. Yesterday he spent 150 yuan to buy a set of clothes. Just now he spent 2 yuan on the subway, so he was left with 2,348 yuan. The voucher was given for free when he went to karaoke a few days ago. You said, what's in your wallet? The young subway policeman was stunned. He didn't expect Huang Mao to be able to say the amount and things in there. He felt that Huang Mao didn't seem to be lying. After all, this kind of thing was clear when it was opened. So he began to suspect Yang Ming, so he asked the same question to Yang Ming. There's also 2,348 yuan in my wallet, and a voucher for the Zhilongpo KTV. Yang Ming said faintly. You learned it from me. Huang Mao was furious. He pointed at Yang Ming and said, Comrade policeman, he said that because I said so. Don't believe him. The young subway policeman was stunned. He didn't know who to believe. The older subway policeman was more experienced. He waved his hand to the young subway policeman and said, Open the wallet first and look at the things inside. The young subway policeman nodded. He opened the wallet and counted the money inside. After a while the counting result came out. It surprised him. There was really 2,348 yuan and a voucher for the Zhilongpo KTV. What should we do? The young subway policeman looked at the older subway policeman with some difficulty. Although you said so, you said it after him, so you still have a lot of suspicion. The older subway policeman said to Yang Ming. Why am I a suspect? The wallet was originally mine. You asked him first. Why am I a suspect? Yang Ming deliberately frowned as if he was very upset that he was wronged. But he was right about the things inside. The young subway policeman said. Maybe he saw me when I took the money? Oh yeah, when I bought the subway ticket at the door I counted the money in the wallet. Maybe he remembered it? Yang Ming started to make up a story. But he wasn't afraid. He had the ability to lie for himself. What? Huang Mao was furious. Bullshit. You're a big liar. Don't be angry. The young subway policeman glared at Huang Mao and then said to Yang Ming, If this is the case, this matter is difficult. Both of you come with us to the subway station's security room. We can slowly investigate there. Okay. Huang Mao hesitated and nodded. Anyway, the wallet was obviously his. He wasn't afraid of anything. But I still have something to do, Yang Ming said. The young subway policeman and the older subway policeman looked at each other. There's a way. Generally, a real thief wouldn't be willing to be taken back for interrogation. So they thought that Yang Ming was very suspicious. No, you have to figure out the truth of the matter. You have to go back with us. The older subway policeman said seriously. Oh yeah. Yang Ming suddenly said with a look of realization, I can prove that the wallet is mine. The older subway policeman was stunned and asked, How do you prove it? There is a 10 yuan bill in the wallet. There are a few words written on it. It was given to me by the street vendor when I bought a drink. At that time I wanted to exchange it with the vendor because there were words on the bill. But he said it was okay and that he could spend it. Yang Ming said, What? The young subway policeman took out the 10 yuan bill. Sure enough, there was a word written on it. So he asked, What is written on it? Tell me about it. You ask him if he knows about this matter? Yang Ming pointed at Huang Mao and said, Do you know? The older subway policeman asked Huang Mao. Of course I know. Huang Mao pretended to be smart and said, But I can't say it this time. If I say it, he will learn from me. That's good. How about we tell the two policemen the content on it in a whisper? Yang Ming smiled. Huang Mao hesitated. He didn't know that there were words on the money. But how did Yang Ming know? Is he scaring people? Okay, let's do it. The older subway policeman nodded and then pulled Yang Ming to the other side of the carriage. He asked, Can you say it this time? The words on it said, Brother Debu, I love you. Because I thought it was too disgusting, so I remembered it more clearly. Yang Ming explained. The older subway policeman nodded and walked back. Huang Mao didn't know that there were words on the money at all. He stuttered for a long time, but he couldn't say why. He had no choice but to say that he couldn't remember if there were words. Who would study the words on the money for no reason? Although the words of the yellow-haired man were very reasonable under normal circumstances, now that Yang Ming had shown the words on the money, the two police officers immediately knew what was going on. Right, I also know the expiration date of the KTV voucher. Yang Ming pretended to think of something and said, "It says that it will expire on July 16th. The older subway policeman took out the voucher and looked at it. He didn't have any doubts anymore. He returned the wallet to Yang Ming and said, "Excuse me." Yang Ming smiled and took the wallet. He looked at Huang Mao with sympathy. "Grandson, call me grandpa." At this moment Huang Mao was completely stunned. How is this possible? It's impossible? Is that wallet really not mine? Am I having hallucinations? No, it's obviously mine. But how does he know something that I don't know? Yang Ming got off the train. Huang Mao was in trouble. He was taken to the police station of the subway station by the two policemen. Huang Mao, who calmed down, had to admit helplessly that he secretly remembered the amount of money in Yang Ming's wallet. Because Yang Ming took his seat, he hated him and wanted to ruin him. It wasn't a big deal. Huang Mao's attitude was good. He was let go after being criticized and educated. But Huang Mao couldn't figure it out. Isn't today's matter a bit too strange? However, when he saw Yang Ming for the second time, there were more strange things that happened. Of course, this is a story for another time.